this regular meeting of council for Monday, April 3rd, 2017 to order. And I need approval of the agenda. Mr. Kaka,
Council adopt the agenda of April 3rd, 2017 to regular meeting of council as presented.
Secretary, Councilor Kirby, all in favor? Adoption of the minutes for March 6th, 2017. Regular meeting of council. Councilor Mackay,
I recommend the council adopt the minutes of March 6, 2017 regular council meetings as presented.
Seconder Bell, Councilor Kirby. Any, all in favor? Any business arising from those minutes? Councilor Kaka.
I just have a small thing, it's just in regards to the golf course. I didn't exclude myself under conflict. I just left the meeting as my friend put in a proponent, so if that can be changed, it had nothing to do with it. It says conflict, and it was not, I did not leave due to a conflict.
Okay, well,
I didn't declare a conflict with it.
Okay. In delegation, we got Mayor Bumstead, but he's gonna be a little later, so we'll wait till he gets here. Correspondence. 1.1, Health Society. This is to do with what Mayor Bumstead's gonna be talking about. Oh, did I miss something?
Just the action summary.
Oh, sorry. Okay, first we'll do the action summary sheet, page 20. Anything anybody wants to talk to there?
It just says in regards, it's the part of the Tumbridge Museum Foundation, it says for April 3rd, for today. I'm just wondering if we have some, I don't see anything in the agenda.
Mr. Wall?
I thank you, your worship. We've pushed everything that wasn't time sensitive off and took the last agenda and moved it to this one, so that one's gonna be delayed a week, or a meeting, sorry.
Anything else? Seeing none, we'll move to what I was talking about there. Yeah, 6.1 is gonna be addressed by Mayor Bumstead, so I don't think there's too much this. If somebody wants, if something they wanna talk to in that. Seeing none, we'll just wait till he gets here. 6.2, TR Sportsman's Association. Information or discussion. Mr. Wall.
Thank you, worship. Subsequent to this letter, the TR Sportsman Association have withdrawn their request for the old visitor center.
Thanks, just on, I mean, I don't know if it's a quick discussion, that's fine, just on that. When's that report coming before council in regards to the evaluation that was supposed to be done in that building? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'll get back to council today.
6.3, Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure regarding Highway 52. Information and discussion. I'd like to say one thing is that I know we've got transportation coming to a meeting at the regional district, and I told them we gotta just keep talking about this, because if it slips off the table again, it'll probably be gone. Mr. Strong, you got
I
something?
was going to move it for discussion.
Okay.
Is it something we can also take to UBCM again, like as one of our asks?
Yeah, I think we should. We gotta,
Because last year, like he heard us and there was a response, so that was something more successful than we've had previously.
I saw the list they sent to the regional district and it wasn't even on there, so I got to put on, but if we don't keep doing that, it's just not gonna. Anything else on that? 6.4, BC Rural Dividend Fund, Ministry of Forest, Lands and Natural Resources Operations. information or discussion?
Please press any key on your touchtone keypad to remain in conference.
Councilor Kirby?
Move for information?
Okay, seconder? Kaka? All in favor? Six point five, Timber Ridge Community Forest, response to West Fraser's 2017 annual operating plan review. Discussion and information. Councilor Catt.
For discussion, please.
Okay.
The reason, you can see the letter that's been presented to council, and it's, that's based on some of the correspondence that's taken place between, the community forest and West Fraser in particular. And just gonna go back to February 21st, when we first started correspondence with, West Fraser, and this was through the manager of the Woodlands manager, who does all the, slating of the upcoming, cuts that they have planned. And in our letter, we talked about our expansion and the reasoning behind it, and we would like to keep it local. And we asked for their input on any type of work they had planned. Some of the reasoning for our selection.
Do you want me to dial back so he can call in still, or?
Yeah, we just pass.
Okay.
Do it once and then shut it off.
Welcome to TELUS conferencing. At the tone, please state your name, followed by the number sign. Announcing participant.
Go ahead.
Okay, and so the reasoning behind the area that we chose, but we were using geographical boundaries. Like one of them would be the river, and then ridges, different ridges that clearly indicate where the areas that we're looking for. And being a close proximity to Tumber Ridge town site, I'm not gonna read you all of them, but here's just a few of the main ones here. And enhanced opportunity for education and research. In other words, it's close proximity to the schools, when we can actually start getting classes out and taking a look at some of the things that we're doing within the forest. Integrate wildfire management initiatives around Tumber Ridge, including those outside the 2 kilometer perimeter. In other words, wherever in those areas we're looking at, we could really start doing something well as far as for the wildfire mitigation in those areas as well as just around town. And there's a whole list of these areas, but this letter was sent on February 21st. We never did receive an answer on this. Like I said, this was never answered. Next thing, we seen the West Fraser, the 2017 annual operating plan review. In that review has got 9 cut blocks scheduled by West Fraser that are right inside the expansion we're looking for. So it's as if, and we've had this problem before with West Fraser. I mean, we've noted that areas that we have talked about, all of a sudden we start seeing the ribbons start pointing up where they're doing a little bit of exploration in areas that they are full well aware of that we're interested in. So it's kind of an ongoing problem we've had. This one here, it's like I say, this is right within the boundary inside the boundaries that we're looking to obtain in our expansion. That make total sense for joining our two, our area is split up into 2. This here kind of joins everything together. And it makes so much sense for us to go this route, and that's the reasoning behind this letter.
Is Duncan gonna be at Kofi?
No, it's unfortunate, but it's
Can you bring this information to Kofi that maybe we can catch?
Yep.
West Fraser?
yes,
there, we
I've got everything to bring.
we can talk to.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilor Casey?
Thank you, Worship. Then should the letter be signed by yourself?
That's what we're asking for, Councillor Paisley. It's already signed by our board, the chair of our board, and the mayor of Tumber Ridge would just be the final touch on that.
So the motion should be put on the floor relative to authorizing the mayor to sign the letter?
Yeah, and is this the appropriate time to throw a motion on there? Because
Yeah.
I would like to put a motion on that the district of Tumber Ridge authorize the mayor of Tumber Ridge to sign this letter on the district.
Secretary for that? Councilor Casey? Any more discussion on this?
I just have one question. Is this, who do we ask about buffer zones and that? So that, you know, the log blocks are being cleared in that, but it comes right up to the highway. And when they used to leave those buffer areas, it looked much more tightly, yeah. So who do we discuss that with? Is it time to throw that in there as well? Would that be up with the community forest and with West Fraser?
We should be mentioning, I don't know if it should go in this letter, but we should be mentioning them when we're talking to them, and, we're trying to get them to come to a council meeting, and we're gonna really, that's gonna be one of the number one issues,
Okay.
so. But if we run into them down in, Gophie there, we'll, bring it up, for sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Worcester. Well, I see that we have Canfor and Chetwynd Forest Incorporated coming on April 18th. Did we ever contact West Fraser?
West Fraser is part of that.
So, okay,
Yeah, Chetwynd Forest Industries, West Fraser.
okay. So they're coming on the 18th?
Sure we bring it up. So, all in favor? Vote. It was just bylaws. Bylaw number 645, 2017, inter-community business licensing. Did I get the recommendation? Councilor Scott.
That the District of Tumble Ridge Intercommunity Business License Bylaw number 645, 2017 be adopted.
Second for that. Councilor McCann. Any discussion on that? All in favor? 7.2, bylaw number 644, 2017, business license. Recommendation 1 and 2. Can I get recommendation number 1? Councilor McCann.
Recommend that the District of Tumble Ridge Business License Bylaw number 644, 2017 be read a first time.
Seconder. Councilor Scott. Discussion? All in favor? Get recommendation number 2? Councilor Caput.
That the District of Tumble Ridge Business License Bylaw number 644, 2017 be read for the second time.
Seconder. Councilor Scott. Discussion? All in favor? Okay, 7.3, bylaw number 646, 2017, municipal ticketing information. Recommendations there, could I get number 1, please? Councilor McKay?
Recommend that the District of Tumble Ridge Municipal Ticket Information, MTI, Amendment Bylaw number 646, 2017 be read a first time.
Seconder. Councilor Pacheco. Discussion? All in favor? Recommendation number 2. Councilor Scott.
That the District of Tumble Ridge Municipal Ticket Information MTI amended bylaw number 646, 2017 be read a second time.
Seconder. Councilor Pacheco. Discussion? All in favor? Okay, 7.4. Zoning amendment bylaw number 648, 2017. Recommendation number 1. Councilor Crapa.
That the District of Tumble Ridge zoning amendment bylaw number 648, 2017 be read first time.
Seconder. Councilor Kirby. Discussion? All in favor? Recommendation number 2. Councilor Jason.
That the District of Tumble Ridge zoning amendment bylaw number 648, 2017 be read for a second time.
Seconder. Councilor Kirby. Discussion? All in favor? Okay, 7.5, cemetery amendment bylaw, number 649, 2017. Recommendation number 1. Councilor Kai.
Recommend that the District of Tumbler Ridge Cemetery Amendment Bylaw number 649, 2017 be read a first time.
Seconder. Councilor Kirby. Discussion? All in favor? Recommendation number 2. Councilor Casey.
That the District of Tumbler Ridge Cemetery Amendment Bylaw number 649, 2017 be read for a second time.
Seconder. Councilor Kaka. Discussion? All in favor? Recommendation number 3. Scott.
That the District of Tumbler Ridge Cemetery Amendment Bylaw number 649, 2017 be read a third time.
Seconder. Councilor Kirby. Discussion? All in favor? Okay, 7.6, Animal Responsibility Amendment Bylaw number 647, 2017. Recommendation number 1. Councilor Kai.
Recommend that the District of Tumbler Ridge Animal Responsible Amendment Bylaw number 647, 2017 be read a first time.
Seconder. Councilor Kaka. Discussion? All in favor? Recommendation number 2. Councilor Kirby.
That the District of Tumbler Ridge Animal Responsibility Amendment Bylaw number 647, 2017 be read a second time.
Seconder. Councilor Scott. Discussion? All in favor? Recommendation number 3. Councilor Casey.
That the District of Tumbler Ridge Animal Responsibility Amendment Bylaw number 647, 2017 be read a third time.
Seconder. Councilor Scott. Discussion? All in favor? Takes us to new business. 8.1, governance workshop. There's a recommendation there. Councilor Pat.
Recommend the council confirm availability for a governance workshop on May the 12th and 13th, 2017.
Seconder. Councilor Casey. Yes. We'll poll the council, see who can make it or not. Give me a second here. I'm good.
I'm good, your worship.
Councilor Scott?
I will not be here.
Councilor
I
Scott?
will not be able to, it's a Friday.
I'm good.
What was that?
I'm good.
You're good.
I will not be able to attend that date.
So, Mr. Wall, that's 50%.
Is it something council wants to do and would like to select another date?
I would like to see us selecting a day. I like to see as many as we can get to these governance things. 50%, actually it's three people that have been to a lot of these things. Councilor Casey?
Thank you, your worship. I would certainly recommend that we see whether or not we can come up with another couple of dates.
Yeah. You said weekends don't work for you.
No, it's the Friday.
Okay.
But I wanna speak to that. I'm totally not interested in it. I find when I go through the agenda now and I see this governance, questions and answers, it's like, I feel as a counselor that, I'm not able to come up with my own stuff. And I think that's, not right. I think, being voted in, I think everybody in this, up here can come up with some of their own questions and comments and and get some of the answers that they need them. But to have them there, I think, you know, to me, it makes me feel like a puppet. So I'm not interested in doing it, I won't vote in favor of it.
Anybody else? That's good.
Thank you, Worship. I think, I don't understand what Councillor Kokoka is coming from relative to that. It's a governance session, is it not?
Like we did,
We've had them before and so forth. This would be a renewal and a touch-up with it and so forth.
Yeah.
I think it's important, if not so much for the information that is presented, but our ability to be able to get together as a council and have those discussions. That to me is where the value comes out of it. So if it's a matter of Councillor Kokoka is not interested in it, that's fine, and I suggest that we move forward and have a, see if we can come up with still suitable dates. If not, throw it out the door.
I know these governance workshops have improved our meetings. I've seen improvement after every one we've had, so I sometimes think that we overdo it sometimes on the governance thing, but like I say, I've seen improvements, so I'm actually for it. Councillor Scott.
I was, like, it is hard to make lots of the extra meetings. I would like to see focus on the strategic planning or asset management and some of the planning functions over the governance training.
Councillor Kay.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you listen to the comments and they're all fair, but it kind of shows you the reason why we really need it. Because in no way does it actually handcuff you. You actually put things forward in the appropriate manner. And a lot of things that we do worry about are probably things that we shouldn't be worried about at all. And I think that's what it makes you focus on the things that we should be focusing on and leave the things that we shouldn't be to others. But my concern here is going to be is the time. We're third year into the term, you know, and I mean, really this should have taken place within the first 3-4 months of our when we started. That's if I've got any concern on this at all, that's it. It's just the fact that here we are on approaching the final year, and, but there is a need for it.
I agree with you. We fell short the first year. We should have been doing a lot more of it at that time. But I guess we're playing catch up, and I guess it's up to council whether they want it or not. If they don't want it, then we don't have it. That's great.
Thank you, Your Worship. The last governance session we sat through, I thought was really good, and it did help out. And I don't know what the next one would kind of improve on. I think we kind of got the basics, and I thought we learned a lot from that one, and it was beneficial. I can't see another one really serving a purpose myself. I would probably vote as Councillor Kokoka in cancelling another event at this point.
I said to Mr. Wall after the last one that was very good, and that I thought that we've done enough now on governance, and if we haven't picked it up yet, we'll never pick it up. So I kind of agree in some ways. I do see the improvements over the last governance session we had. So I do agree with them, but I kind of echo Councillor Mackay there that maybe it's too much too late or whatever. It's not like it's too late. We have picked up on it now. Councillor Casey.
Thank you, Worship. I just wondered whether or not to sort of zone in on the discussion and so forth. If we put a motion on the floor, not to have it or to have it. If it passes, we can work on the dates later, and if it doesn't, then we can forget about it. Would that be a fair approach?
Would you like to make that motion? Which motion you have made?
Well, the motion that I'm making is that we schedule, come up with suitable dates as requested to have the governance workshop. That do it?
Yeah. Seconder for that?
And if it fails, it does pass, then we can move on with the rest of our lives.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay. Councillor Scott, any more discussion on it?
I believe there's
Yeah, can I just chime in there?
I believe there's
Yeah, we didn't know you were there.
I believe there's already one motion on the floor. The first motion's on the floor that was read out.
Oh, okay.
I believe, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe
Yeah,
it was.
no, was it a motion?
Yeah, so the motion right now is to confirm availability on the 12th and 13th.
Okay, and we've only had 50%, Councillor, Howe. Were you available on May 12th and 13th? Did you want to go to that?
No, I will also be unavailable at that time. Maybe I'd just make a suggestion, though, that if we are going to book governance workshop, like Councillor Casely is suggesting, that perhaps we look at booking it for the very first couple of months of the next elected council, and that way it's already done and booked, and we have them first, would be my suggestion if we're going to look at dates. Forget about it for our term, but definitely book it for the first couple of months of the next council that comes on.
Good idea, and get the very best people we can get to. Okay, so motion on the floor. Do we have enough dates?
Could you repeat the motion? I'm not clear of what's on the floor or what isn't, your worship.
What do you got? Well,
So
that's
right,
less than 50% of the people can make it on the dates. So what would be the motion that we've got now?
so right now it's to confirm availability on the 12th and 13th. If it sounds like council can't make that, I would suggest that motion be defeated, and then Councillor Casely could, if he wanted to introduce his motion, to move forward with trying to book dates, and council can determine if it's something that you want to have happen or not.
Okay. So, all in favor? Opposed? Okay. Councillor Casey, you want to?
I'm opposed.
Well, I would, not sure what the right motion would be here. I guess the motion would be whether or not we as a council would like to schedule a further governance workshop that encompass the.
Yeah.
I would so move.
Seconder, Councillor Scott? Discussion on that? Okay.
Again, myself, I won't be supporting that. If we want to set up governance for, like Mr. McKay, Councilor McKay said, and Councilor Howell, for the new elected officials on their term, that's fine. But I would love to support doing governance.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, I like the idea of scheduling one for the new term, but I don't know if we can even do that. So, Mr. Wall,
It's already been done, your worship.
it's already been done? Okay, you okay with that, Councillor Howell?
Yeah, provided it's been booked for within the first 2 months, yeah.
Yeah. It has. Okay, 8.2, airport land lease, Yellowhead helicopters. Did I get the recommendation? Councillor Kai.
Recommend the council authorize the mayor and corporate officer to execute an airport land lease with Yellowhead Helicopters Limited for a 3-year term beginning April 1st, 2017 and ending March 31st, 2020 at the rate of $1.30 per meter squared.
That's good.
Meter squared. Hold on.
We got it. Seconder? Councillor Kukaka, discussion? Councillor Kukaka.
Thank you, Your Worship. I actually believe this is the same amount that's been put in front of us twice. And I'm just curious if we've actually thought about the upgrades that has been discussed around budgets. I don't think it's in the 2017 budget. There's discussion for the 2018 budget in regards to a new airport shelter out there and stuff. Possible new lighting, possibly new asphalt. Has that been looked at? That, you know, we sign this lease, and when we do all those upgrades, we don't cover any of that.
Mr. Wall.
Yeah, we've put in front, or excuse me, Your Worship, we've put in front of council the cost of what we think is gonna get to repair the airport. If council's looking to get any significant amount of that cost back from this lease, I would suggest you be looking at a 1,000, 2,000, 3,000% increase, and even that's not gonna cover very much of what the cost is going to be. Administration has put now 3 different pricing schemes in front of council. It feels like council's looking to try and get administration to give you the recommendation that you want. I would suggest if council has a price in mind, that you make the motion and go forward. Within this report, you could look at, backing up, council gave us instruction to take a look at the administrative costs of the lease amortized over a 10-year period, which is what we've done on this report. You can, if council so chooses, not take a look at sharing the cost of drafting the lease, which would give a $52 a month cost. If council's looking at percentage recovery of airport costs, you can give us that instruction and we'll do that.
Councillor Cook.
Thank you, just on that, I totally agree with you, Mr. Wall, the link's been sent back to you. It's not, I'm unsatisfied with come back with him, it's a huge report. I was just wondering if any of that was within, when you guys thought about that, with some of those renovations that we talked about, that was all I was asking.
I know we got prices from Chetland and I know they're putting $1 million into the airport right now, making it longer. So, you know, it's just one of those things that happens. Councillor McKay, you had something?
Well, just in finalizing, I guess, I know that the last discussion we had, there were some things that we wish to see added, and I mean, and they're all here. Everything that we asked to be added is here, so I'm satisfied with it.
Okay, Councillor Casey.
Thank you, Your Worship. We're dealing with the recommendation 1 and 2, that's on page 156. Is that correct?
The recommendation is on at 8.2 there, I'm not sure.
Page 129.
Oh, I'm sorry, just ahead of it. My apologies.
Okay, call the question, all in favor? Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, noted. 8.3, pool disinfection system. Recommendation, Councillor Casey.
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to put it on the floor. The council approves a life cycle maintenance strategy for pool operating systems for the Tumber Ridge Aquatic Center for the period of 2017 to 2022. The council authorizes $150,000 budgeted for the pool for 2017 be used for phases 1 and 2 of the life cycle maintenance strategy for pool operating systems.
Secondary, Councillor Kai. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, 8.4, Clean Water and Wastewater Fund, grant approval. Councillor Kai.
Recommend the council approve the $50,000 fund required to complete the aeration project to improve the aeration system that treats our wastewater.
Seconder, Councillor Kirby, discussion. Councillor Scott.
Was this something that was in our budget planning? No, this is over and above?
Okay.
So yeah, actually, I read the thing there and realized it's not something that was put in our budget for 2017, and this one we got missed here is because we waited for the report to come back from a gentleman that you guys were looking at, somebody that Mr. Clark knew.
This is done through the Public Works Department, so this project was only gonna move forward if we were successful with the grant, and in the grants guidelines, they gave us until the end of 2018, so in the grant application it said you have until the end of 2018 to finish the project, so we had anticipated if we got approved for it, we would look at doing it in 2018. However, when we got approved, they sent different conditions than was in the grant application, saying that the majority of the work should be completed in 2017, with reporting allowed to be completed in 2018. So if it's something that we don't do this year, it's likely we won't get the grant for next year.
Councillor Strachan.
So just on it, I know we haven't had any budget meetings lately, which I'm assuming is coming up soon, so we know what we're paying here. Do we know what that looks like in regards to our rates, with adding all that, some of the stuff that's not on our budget?
This would be minimal because we would be getting most of the money back, so we'd be looking at $100,000 increase basically in expenses, which would be pretty minor in our budget this year.
I would think playing around with $900,000 grants doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. Okay, anything else? Hey, Councillor Kai.
Yeah, congratulations to, I don't know if it was Public Works that put in for it, but that's a hell of a kick-ass grant to get, and it really makes this a bit of a no-brainer.
Yeah. Okay. for that. All in favor? Opposed? Eight point five, the 2017 IIHF World Hockey Challenge. We have a recommendation there that's fairly lengthy. We just make it as presented. Councilor Kai?
As presented?
Seconder? Kirby? Yeah, I think this is one of the best things that if we get this, one of the best things we've come to reach for a while in the way of hockey. We did discuss at South Peace Economic Development meeting today about we got an extra $10,000 there that we're gonna just be hanging on to and seeing what the expenses are for Chetwynd and Tumbler if this goes through. So that we could get some help from that area. Yeah, I'd like to congratulate Boyd there. He's taken this thing and pushed it maybe over the end. I hope so.
We'll need to know tomorrow morning
Yeah.
if it goes through council today.
Okay. Alrighty, any other discussion on it? Councilor Craig?
Yeah, again, congratulations. This is something we've been trying to do ever since the women's Olympic hockey team came here, the gold medal Olympic hockey team came here. And we've kind of never been able to follow through on that. And this is fantastic. This should be followed up on within the next few years too.
What Boyd was telling me is some of the reasons they're even looking at this is because of the women's hockey team.
No, I don't agree.
Councilor Casey?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a question for clarification. My understanding with the proposal that's coming forward, that in terms of what it is going to cost us as a community, have not yet been determined. And my understanding is that we will be receiving that information between April 24th to April 30th, the final costs, which are to be determined by this time, because I know that there's $20,000 as I understand it, if I'm not mistaken. So that's given, I'm not concerned about that. But with regards to the final cost in, as reflected in those dates, is that something that is worth waiting for prior to proceeding? Or do we care about that?
I would like to see this go through, and the thing is, once we know that we're getting it, then we can look for sponsorship and like I said, and the regional district's got some dollars that they would put into helping us out. And I think we could cut this down from the $20,000 actually, but that remains to be seen.
Sure, well, I'm not concerned about the $20,000, I'm just wondering if there's anything else on top of that. For example, in the financial forecast, it's, at the moment, which is preliminary, is $29,000, closer to $30,000, with, okay, that's fine. But I'm just, again, when it takes a look at, on page 173, the financial budgetary implications, it's just that final cost, and are we prepared to, I mean, if it's $150,000, are we prepared to go along with it? I mean, if we, my only concern is not determining as best we can, knowing full well that there's going to be more cost information coming forward, and between April 24th and 30th, is that something that is worth waiting for until we get those costs?
I don't think it'll go ahead if this isn't approved by council, because it doesn't show that we support the idea. I think what I was told today is the cost of pre-tournament stuff, which this would be, is bared by the team itself, not by the people who set up the tournament. Neil, correct me if I'm wrong here, Boyd, but that's what I was told today, that I guess we negotiate after the fact. Mr. Wall, you have?
Yeah, so we've done the best we can to give you some preliminary costs. As Councillor Casey said, we're not gonna know the full costs until later. One of the issues that will change both the revenue and expenses in here is whether or not we get an exhibition game. Maybe we get 0, maybe we get 1, maybe we get 2. So that'll be a difference. What I can say is that Mr. Clark is going to meet with the organizers on this tomorrow, and if there's no financial commitment from the District of Tumble Ridge in that meeting tomorrow, it's very likely that we won't get the team. So we've given you what we think is a higher end estimate of what this is gonna cost, which is $20,000, but again, as Councillor Casey stated, these are preliminary numbers. They could rise, they could fall. We believe it's gonna cost about $20,000. However, if council doesn't make that commitment today, it's not 100% guaranteed that the opportunity will go away tomorrow, but Hockey Canada is looking for a financial commitment from the district tomorrow in order to move forward with these preparations.
Okay.
Just a question, and so we have 2 hockey teams at this stage that are looking to come and stay in Tumble Ridge for, I don't think they're coming in for the game and leaving that same night. They'll be staying in town for a period, staying at hotels, eating meals in restaurants and so on and so on. Okay, thanks.
So just on that, just a quick question, our rink holds 800 people?
I'm not sure.
Well, it just says $20 at 800, so our rink holds 800 people?
Easy.
Your worship, through the council, just address some of the questions and statements that are been made already, and I'll answer that question to Councillor Cook. First of all, there would only, in terms of the training phase, the discussions included that one of the international federations would be here for 5 days for training. With regards to meal allotments for that team, which is included in the budget and so forth. The second team would arrive on the day of the game and do preparations for that game, which would be at the tail end of the 5 days, which would be, that team would be located in a separate center doing their training portion prior to. So for 5 days, there's one team here, the second team arrives for 1 day, which is included in the expenses. And to address the question with respect to Councillor Coca, the arena has a seating capacity of 1,260 people. So 800 is a very reasonable estimation. So, and in terms of the budget end of things, I took a high on the expense side and a low on the revenue side of things. So you can reasonably assume that as CEO Wall indicated, the sponsorship increases, and the mayor has indicated, as you see within the report, it's only budgeting 5,000 in sponsorship. It adequately can be assumed that we probably have strong corporate support for this type of event.
Thank you, Worcester. Yeah, it's no brainer, and I thought it was more than 800. That's why I was asking that question, because I was trying to do the numbers. So thank you for that.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Okay. Scheduled meetings. Do you have anything to add, or 177?
I don't have anything on the meeting here, but I seem to be missing from page 180 down. You don't have anything about Grizz Fest, or is there no paperwork on that?
Well, there's no paperwork on those items, those are
Okay.
PMP discussions.
Mayor McPherson? Mayor McPherson?
Yep. Go ahead.
Is there any way we can schedule another meeting sometime in April so we can get a couple of other things cleared up? I know you guys have seen some information floating around about some ideas that we had here for taking care of our bear problem come springtime, and I'm fearful if we wait till May, we won't have any of our letters written to the people that we need to write them to, and we'll kind of be behind the 8 ball again and starting to deal with the bears once they're already out. If we had in some meeting somewhere in the middle of April, we might be able to get a resolution on a couple of those things at that time. Would that have to be some type of a special meeting to do that, or is that something we could schedule for, it wouldn't be a long meeting for that topic, but is that something that is the flavor of council? I know that was something that we had all expressed many times over that we wanted to try to do something about the bears. I think I've provided a path forward with the information that I put forward, and some discussion with Mr. Wall needs to happen when I get back in April. But is there any time that we could get that in there?
I was gonna talk to that a little bit, council business, and try to make a motion, about 100% support. But I'm sure we could have it at the PPC and on the 18th. What is it? No, the 18th. So.
Okay, sorry, I didn't see that in my schedule, the 18th there. I guess that'll probably have to work for it. I'll have to, okay, fair enough.
I thought there was some stuff that should be done prior to that, but I was gonna bring that up in council's business.
Okay, I forgot that we could, that we could do that in PPCs again as well, so.
Yeah, okay.
No worries.
Okay. Anything else on the meeting tape? Okay. Strategic plan. Well, could you walk us through this a little bit?
Yeah, I'll have a strategic plan update for you the first meeting in May. Along with that update will be the implementation progress on the core service review, as well as some sort of a progress mechanism for the strategic plan, as council had asked for, a percentage finish or a color-coded system, something to let council look at a glance what progress is taking place.
The core service review, there's recommendations in there and the timelines and all that. Are we gonna at some point sit down and look that over and do something about that and plan that out? Because I think there's some things in there that should be done.
So the core service review, the implementation plan will be in that first meeting in May. The core service review breaks down into two recommendations. There's operational recommendations, which go to staff, and we're already in the process of implementing a number of them and have started implementing a few more. And then there's the strategic recommendations, which are for council's consideration. So right now, with the timeline that we're on, we're still right on track to do everything, should council choose on the strategic side anyway, according to the timeline laid out by KPMG.
Just on that core service part of it, what about moving some things up? I know I talked to you, and I'm not gonna do it here. Some staffing and some of those components. You know, you said it was year two, but what about the discussion about trying to look at moving that up?
I think that would be a discussion council can have. I mean, that schedule they've given us is just an outline. And we can take priority of whatever we want.
And just on that, are we still in contact with that group that did the core service review? I just wonder if they can email me back. They were supposed to when I had my conference call, they were supposed to final off something with me. They've never sent it to me, and I don't have their phone number. I was looking for something, and they've yet to supply it, which kind of makes me wonder why.
Yeah, I still have their contact information. I'll send an email to them and CC you on it, and you can have a conversation with them on what you're looking for.
Scott?
So will there be a separate meeting of council to go through the core service review, similar to when we did the strategic planning?
I don't know, Mr. Wall?
That would be up to council. Again, I would say that one thing you have to remember about the core service review, it breaks down into operational recommendations, which council doesn't really have any involvement in, and then your strategic recommendations. Your strategic recommendations, you could break them off into one meeting and try and deal with them all that way or prioritize. I would say when it comes out, you can take a look at the implementation plan. So for example, one of the high priorities on strategic was to introduce a special capital levy. Administration's dealing with that to make sure it's done in the time frame there. So you'll see the time frame is broken out when council will be asked to make those decisions, and you can decide from there if you want to have a special meeting to deal with it.
Okay. Everybody's happy with that? Okay. So this is a carryover from our last PPC, I guess. That's why this is here, this meeting?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're in a PPC meeting. Um, 9.1, Grand Mountain Conference Center. Rates, draft policy. And I guess how we do it. It's, anybody wanna start on this? Okay, I'll give my view on it. I think, Trend Center, it's all of a sudden become the place to have whatever venue you're gonna have here in Cumber Ridge, and we still got the rec center, which are, those rooms are good, 2, 4, and 5. And, I'd like to see the Trend Center used more for when we attracting people to town. That's, I know Councilor House mentioned it too. It should be used, you know, there are some local stuff that should be done in there too, I'm sure. But I think the majority should be conferences, like all this, the community forest one is that one that right on the verge, and there's that bird watching group too, that I think are gonna bring a lot of people to town. They're gonna buy in meals, renting hotel rooms, and seeing our area, and people see our area, they advertise for it. So that's what I would like to see in our policy, is that first priority would be bringing something new to town. I don't know how the rest of the council feels about that, but we don't have enough free allocations anymore to give everybody Trend Center.
Yeah, I totally think it was, like that idea, and Councilor House mentioned it too, and great thought too, like you look at minor hockey and stuff like that, when they're already bringing all these tournaments in and people are staying there, it's a no-brainer for them to give it up. Now, to me, that's, I'm not saying it's the same thing with community forest, I think that's us using, that's a district using one for themselves, or with our fire department. I mean, that to me is a no-brainer. When the fire department wants to use conference center, I don't even think it should, I think that should be an automatic given every year. Those men and women put themselves in danger every day, and I know there was an argument around that. I wasn't here, but some were in favor of giving it to them, and I think what they do for this community, what they did last Friday down at that skateboard park, so these young kids in our town can be down there. I think that fire department should be automatic. And on the other ones, I totally agree with you. To me, the fire department should automatic use that. Whether that's been our policy or not, but I think it should be there for our fire department.
Mr. Wall, what are you looking for here? Just a general idea of what the way council wants to go with this?
That's correct. So some things that council can consider, you can build into your policy something like that one of the free uses is given to the firefighters every year. Something to consider, does council want to put a time frame on this the same way you get your grant and aid applications, where they all have to be submitted in at the beginning of the year so you can make decisions on all of the applications at once? You talked about, do you want to do this with local events, or these big events that are coming in that you want to give them out to? So yeah, we're looking for directions on those key elements.
Councilor Kirby.
Thank you, Mayor McPherson. I think when you look at the Tumblr Ridge Children's Center Society, they use that room as a fundraising option. I like the idea of that. That's where they get their, the most of their money for the year is through that event. The fire department, as I do agree also with Councilor Kukalka that it's important, and of course we always are looking at them with high esteem of what they do for our community, but that's also an awards banquet, and it's more of a kind of a celebration, a party, a year-end AGM, whatever it is. But when a group is actually using it as a fundraiser, I would give more to that usage on that sense myself. So, I mean, the childcare center, I mean, we give them a space in the community center to run that, and it's important because affordability for them to pay rent in a there anyway. So I think we're getting money back. It kind of serves our needs too. So I think that's kind of where I would go, as if I'm giving away.
Councilor Tack.
And if the different groups were divided up into different categories, now, from my understanding, there, in the top five, we actually have 15 different options available. Three categories, 5 in each category, and I mean, that's correct, is it?
That's what you're talking about.
Well, the one category for totally free is 5 different shots at it. I think there's another tier below that where there's another 5, in which I'm not sure what the payment is, half or something. But then there's another 5 below that. But that kind of flies in the face of what you were talking about earlier on there, Mayor McPherson, which I agree with. I mean, the rec centers areas should be used, so I think these should. But we do have, from what I have seen, I think we have more than just 5.
I see we can give our show.
Yeah, but you're still, you're not paying the 100%, but you are getting a discounted rate, where the 5 that we like give out, that's free, that's freebies.
A lot of these outfits is, I think it's Councillor Howe stated, you go and ask the Trans Center.
Yeah.
To give them that route. So it doesn't involve us, and I think that should happen. You know, but it's just an easy route, to come in here, and, because we had some. Yeah, so, what do we say? We're saying that, we'd like to see them used for something that attracts people to town, and, and like I say, there is some local stuff that we do put a priority on. Councillor Trout?
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to put a motion on the floor that we allow one free use to our Tumbler Ridge Fires Association going forward.
I'd second that.
Any discussion on that? Yeah, in favor. But for the rest of them, Councillor Kirby.
I'd like to put a motion on the floor to give one of our free usages to the Tumbler Ridge Children Day Society, or Child Care Center Society, for their annual fundraiser for their Christmas party.
Just a question here, how many free uses do we have?
There's 5 for uses, but it's important for council to know, we got these for uses based on a contract that was signed when it was originally built. That contract has expired. So right now, this is Anglo-American being generous to the District of Tumbler Ridge, or being a good corporate partner. So this may not be something that lasts forever. They're not contractually obligated to provide these to us anymore, but they have been and seem to continue being. So I just need a little bit of clarification. So is the direction that was done from Councillor Koko's motion and now put forward by Councillor Kirby's motion to include these uses in the policy? So the policy will list that 2 of these uses would go to these every year.
Okay, all in favor, any more discussion on Councillor Kirby's motion? All in favor of that? Okay, so all we're talking is 3 free uses, and some reduced ones, as long as we get them. Mr. Wall.
The reduced ones are for the district, so those aren't ones that we can give out. If the district, after the 5 free uses, the district, if we as an organization use it, can look at a discount for some types of events. So one thing I'd still like to hear from council, do you want to couple this with your grant and aid policy so they all come in, or are you happy taking them in on an ad hoc basis?
I think, we never know what's should come in. We don't know that the bird watchers are gonna wanna come here, or the community forest until they ask, so I don't think it would be as a, it's gonna be ad hoc, that's first come, first served kind of thing. Council agree with that? Is there anything more you need?
Don't believe so, no, that's good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Chris Best. So, Christmas is in a tight, tough situation this year. So, what are we looking for here? Some plan from council?
Well, Grizzfest sent a letter to council asking for the reinstatement of the $15,000. They have spoke to administration and said that if the event isn't reverted back to the way it's been run in the past, that they likely won't do it. So Grizzfest is asking for the reinstatement of $15,000, as well as having the event run by district staff in the same way as it was before. So instead of giving them the money and they would buy the services back from us, we would do what we've done in the past, where we would just provide the in-kind services.
And the grant would be for how much?
In total, $100,000.
Plus the in-kind?
No, including the in-kind, it would be $100,000. The breakdown, I believe, is 55-45.
I don't know.
Thank you. So they supplied us a letter? Or they just, because there's nothing in mind. So like, I'm kind of like, that's why I wasn't sure that's why I mentioned that in the comments there. I wasn't sure what this was all coming about, what they were looking for. But if they sent a letter saying that's what they wanted, it would be on our agenda.
Well,
Thank you, Your Worship. It was in the last agenda, and council asked for the discussion to be put on this P&P.
the discussion I've heard around this table is that Grizzfest is now a district event, which I have never considered Grizzfest a district event, and I've been around for a long time. But if it is a district event, then we have to be more involved in how it's put on and what benefits this community is getting from it. I don't think if it's a district event that we can keep doing it the way we've been doing it, because as far as I'm concerned, it brings a lot of people to this town. It doesn't bring people that, I'm going to say this, it's probably not good to put in your paper, but does it bring the right people to this town? And that's not, I've always wondered that. You know, it seems that a lot of the local people don't get involved in the type of music that a lot of the local people don't get involved in. And that's just my feelings. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way. I'm struck.
The event has been having struggles the last 4 years. That's what took the board to approach council and ask for assistance. And then since then, they've used all sorts of social media, the Facebook page. Like in the last 4 years, there's been a lot of volunteers doing over and above to promote the event and taking on some of the tasks that were previously done by staff members. The directors, like the volunteer group has gotten smaller and smaller, but they've taken on work that paid staff used to be doing. And in the programmer's job description, I actually have it had that the programmer coordinator will assist in coordination, implementation, and evaluation of special events such as Canada Day, Terry Fox Run, Pitch In Week, Grizzfest, community registration, and holiday special events. So it was a district event. And at some point, I think we used to have somebody, Cheryl Hayden was on the board, and she had the programmer assisting her. And then when she left and that position wasn't there any longer, then that's when the directors started picking up some of the sponsorship, marketing, a lot of the promoting the event and bringing in people. Also improving the family portion of it, the children's games and that. If anyone have been in the grounds the last 4 years, like it's just taken on a whole new look, and it is a family event. I don't think there's been a lot of undesirables and stuff like that at the event. The RCMP sit on, like they come into the meetings and that, and there haven't been a lot of complaints. Every year there's a debriefing, and And I think, you know, we do need the Grisfest needs the help this year, because just with everything, how it came about, it's on a really short time frame to pull the event off with how it's being done now, and no one is really certain of who's doing what.
Yeah, so just on that, I mean, I wasn't boss on this, so I don't repeat. But my thing is too, is having the RCMP come in here and give a report at the end of the event, they say how good it's been, and then, you know, very few incidents, so whether we're bringing the right people or not, we're obviously bringing some right ones. But we do probably have definitely some concerns there, because they're obviously, you know, they say there's a few arrests, or they had to deal with a few people. But I think it's a big event for this community, and I think it's part of our strategic plan, and it was talked about when we had the meeting here about building bigger on Grisfest, more on Empress Challenge, trying to keep those people around. Look at your winter event. Yes, we have Winter Carnival, but what can we do there to make it even bigger? So I think we should be doing what we can do. Whether that's a motion on the floor that we put on the floor, it's the money back to them, and having the district assist the board in the way they used to make Grisfest happen. I'm curious if Mr. Wall has staff to do that. Before we go throwing it out there, is that, you know, putting something like that on the floor and stating to go back there if it was to pass, are you prepared with the staff you have?
Good question.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, we are.
Would I like to put a motion?
Councillor McKay.
Well, if you want to put a motion on, I can.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to put a motion on the floor that we go back to the way Grisfest was ran for 2016 event, with all the help they need from the district. And I know, listening to some of the boards that have talked to me, also supplying with them with the proper budgetary documents they need for 2018.
Okay, second. Councillor McKay. Discussion. Councillor McKay.
I'd like to chime in there.
Yeah, I'll get you right up to Councillor McKay, Councillor Hall.
Okay, Councillor Scott brought up a few things there, because TR Day Society does a lot more than just Grisfest. And you know, and speaking to the fact that you know, maybe there's not as many TR residents go there, but there's quite a lot that go there year after year, and I'm one of them. And so I see the same people there every year. Now, if I'm not in town, then that's the only reason I'm not there. And it's generally a good time, other than sometimes the weather. But they do a lot more, and also when I was liaison to the Grisfest committee from council, I mean, I think at that time there was about 12 volunteers. Well, they've been zapped all the way back to, was it five now? So I just can't imagine that not only the tremendous amount of work that each of those volunteers has, but also I think I kind of regret the decision we made, and you know, I hate to say it, last meeting, but it kind of cut them off at the knees when really they need the support, and the things are already starting to roll. There's already been discussions with different bands, and now it just, everything's up in the air. So I support this motion by Councillor Kukoka, based on the fact that it's for this year, and for next year we might come up with something totally different, but at least get this year done, and then move on from there.
Councillor Scott.
I'm thinking it's really critical too, for any changes that need to be made happen in October and November, so going forward, you know, we can plan, you know, what council and the committee and everything should be doing for 2018. I was just thinking, like, when everyone was talking about downsizing, I just brought a couple of these shirts from the past years. If we book bands early enough, Tumbler Ridge are on these shirts going around, like they're, you know, they hit US concerts. And these are not bands, like they're affordable to us. So there's Tumbler Ridge with US, and I think there was even an international date. So like Tumbler Ridge is known for Grisfest. This is the 16th year, and it just would be a shame to see it fizzle out. Like, it does bring a lot of people to the community, and it puts Tumbler Ridge on the map.
I see one in Port
There we go.
Grisfest. Yeah.
There we go.
Councillor Casey.
Thank you, Your Worship, but just to.
Can I chime in there?
Oh, just a minute, yeah, Councillor Hall first. Sorry.
Sorry, that's okay.
ahead.
Yeah, so originally, like, I was the one who kind of spearheaded that through council to say that we need to look at cutting 15%, and I still stick with that. I still think that we need to find ways to cut money back, and this was the first of many efforts that I'm going to have over the next month and a half here till budget is done that to look at cutting costs back. I mean, we keep forgetting about the $2 million we lost in revenue, guys. Like, we talk about $15,000 and we bang it around the council meeting and talk about it for 3 meetings or 4 meetings. We're forgetting about the $2 million that we're losing, right? Like, we have to start finding areas to cut a little bit out. And the part that was never clear to me that has been brought to my attention recently is that we are not at arm's length from GrisFest. So anything that goes on with GrisFest, we are legally liable for anything that goes on there. That's a problem for the District of Tumbler Ridge. And in my mind, that discussion needs to happen before we continue on spending any more money at GrisFest. That if we are legally committed to actions that happen there or that those people do, and that puts all of us in jeopardy, I'm not good with doing that with GrisFest anymore at all, to tell you the truth. So I think that discussion needs to happen as well. But I'm certainly not in favor of continuing to support another $15,000 or get back to where we were. When we went to this $100,000 thing, it was the in-kind services were added into the $45,000 that we already give them, and this is $55,000 in in-kind money. We thought that they could save money by not having to pay overtime for our minimum call-outs. There were a whole bunch of additional things that they could have done. They can use some of the $55,000 or $35,000 to provide the services of Joy if that's the person that they really need, and they can use the other resources as they see fit better with them overseeing it than us just having Public Works called in on 4 and 4 call-outs. That was the initial discussion that we had over it. That's how it came about. That's where it should stay in my mind. I will be voting against this.
Thank you. Councilor Casey.
So the idea around the chambers is the fact that we'd go along with it this year and then review the entire scope of GrisFest for next year and do that ahead of time and so forth, which could result in that we no longer support it, or we do support it and this is the basis on which we do that. That way, any commitments that have been made this year already by the GrisFest committee can be honored and so forth, but next year is wide open. Is that fair? Okay, thank you very much.
As usual, you said exactly what was on my mind.
You know,
Thank you.
oh my gosh, that's a first.
No, it isn't. Councilor Crowder.
Thank you. Thanks, Councilor Howe, for some of that information. I wasn't at that meeting. I don't disagree with you about a 15% cutback. I'm totally, if somebody wants to amend that or if I can amend it, I totally agree with doing the 50% cutback in regards to the budget and trying to make up some of that lost tax money. But I still think GrisFest has to happen. We take on risk with the Eppers Challenge as well. We probably take risk on everything we do down here. It doesn't matter what event it is, Canada Day, Winter Carnivals, there's always that risk to the district. I think GrisFest is something important for this community, something important for our residents and the people it brings into town. They don't just come in for 2 days. They might come back, and there is a lot of people that come back. I mean, you look at the riverboats that come to town. Some of those people probably end up at GrisFest, some don't. I'd like to see the numbers from the tourist center during GrisFest weekend, the museum. Those people, that's where those numbers are coming from. These people are going there. So if you agree with the 15%, I totally support the 15%, but I don't support not doing GrisFest. So I'm going to make my own amendment.
My opinion on the 15% was that this all happens at the wrong time, because the plans were already made. And I agree with Councilor Casey that next year we gotta look at it. This is a district event, and we gotta look at it and have some input into it. But this year, they were already planned, so that we should back them up and do it the way we did last year. I have no problem with that. Councilor Scott.
Well, I was just gonna say, we have risk with the golf course, and, there's many things, our RV parks, like everything we do in the community is a risk, right, to, ice on sidewalks and stuff like that. Yeah, I just think there's more pros than cons to, finding a working arrangement, to make sure that GrisFest succeeds. And this year, like, at the Old Timers Tournament, there were already people in Dawson asking if GrisFest was being canceled. So, in communities, word travels fairly quick.
Yeah, I've heard it already.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Can I call a question here? All in favor, what is the motion?
To return the operations of the district, the Gris to return the operations of GrizFest back to the 2016. So if this passes, just so council's clear, if this passes in the P&P section, you're still gonna have to deal with it in a regular meeting. And also council has not resolved the $15,000 issue by dealing with this motion. So if that's going to be returned to GrizFest, it's something council should speak to as well.
If we go back to 2016, that cancels that 15,000.
So the motion right now is to go back to the same operational method. So we're talking about, instead of giving money to GrizFest and then them buying the services from us, we're just gonna give them the in-kind. It's not talking about funding. The funding in 2016 was actually $10,000 more in cash as well. So what I'm saying to council is, right now, as I understand the motion, is simply dealing with the operational method, and council will still need to determine whether or not to replace that $15,000.
Okay, all in favor of the motion? Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Ready?
Should we get Joanne?
What's that?
Do we? Joanne back?
Oh, yeah.
Your worship, just one moment, is council going to make a decision on the $15,000, or have you decided?
And when we go back to regular meeting.
Okay.
Ready? I'm gonna just change the agenda here a little bit. As I see our honored guests from the north, your worship, Mayor.
You're worthless?
Mayor Bumstead, you're welcome.
I'm always nervous when my bride says your worship, because it sounds like she's saying you're worthless.
Oh, maybe she is.
So thank you, your worship, council, and to administration and staff, and to media. I appreciate the opportunity to come and address council tonight. Yes, the purpose of tonight is really to talk about the South Peace Health Services Society. The mayors of the South Peace, along with the electoral area directors, have been meeting probably for, let's say, a year and a half, 2 years, talking about common initiatives, issues that we deal with, and health has been a big topic of conversation for us. Economic development, common components of what we deal with as communities. And the health services part of it has been one that we really put some attention and diligence into. And for us, first of all, we started it in Dawson Creek with a health services committee. It was really driven at the grassroots level of our community to try to assist and help support the initiatives that are put on by Northern Health as they recruit and try to recruit healthcare professionals into our community. But we got the feedback from our local physicians about how we needed to, as a community, be a little bit more involved in that grassroots initiatives of helping support that work that goes on by Northern Health. And I'll give you a couple of examples that we were brought forward with. One is almost like a welcome wagon, that orientation of new staff, new people into our community. And the docs were saying they do that. So when a new doc is, a new physician is recruited, the doctors in the community would take on that role of helping to orientate and show the community to the new prospective physician. And the docs were saying to us, nobody knows the community better than you guys. You guys that live here, you know the real estate, you know the retail, you know the parks, the recreation, the arts, the culture, all of those types of things that you should really showcase, and nobody knows it better than the residents of the community. And so we've started that in the community as a grassroots initiative. The other one we heard about really quite focused from them was when we recruit both new physicians into the community, locums when they're coming in to either help a physician that might be away on vacation or away on training for 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. They really struggle with housing and trying to find them a place to live while they're in the community for that short period of time. And so housing, and we did have in the Dawson Creek District Hospital, there were some old, they called them the nunneries, I think, in that old hospital, and downstairs there was these old resident rooms with common kitchen and common bathroom. They were awful. Like, honestly, they were terrible. And that's where some of the locums and the resident physicians would stay. And so we've heard that housing is a big issue for us in terms of how we recruit and help support that initiative of healthcare professionals. And so what it led us to was really to start the formation of a healthcare society. Because any fundraising we do, anything we do as a community under the community charter, we're limited, we're restricted in terms of how and what things we can do with that public purse, that public money. And a society really operating at arm's length, doing the work that the society is under that constitution really will drive some of the initiatives that we think are important. And so we've had that now conversation with the South Peace Health mayors, or the South Peace mayors. For me, I really think that the strength for us in the South Peace is all of us working together in that initiative of how we work together for the recruitment of healthcare professionals, how we support that in terms of docs, the nursing, the oncology nurses that we've just gone through over the last year, where we got our residents now having to travel to Fort St. John for that chemo treatment because we didn't have the oncology nurses. And people should be concentrating on getting better and their treatment, not on the stress of travel. And I know that's an issue for you guys in Tumbler because you got an hour and a bit travel just to get to that acute care facility. But add another hour to that for our residents. It just, to me, that we need to be focused about how we build those services and the recruitment of healthcare professionals into the South Peace for the benefit of all our communities. And so I applied for a grant last year through the Rural Community Dividends Fund, that $25 million the province put out for communities under 25,000 people. I got a grant for $10,000 to build this society and put it together. Well, you can't use it, so I had to hire a lawyer in order to put bylaws and the Constitution together, and you can't use that money for legal fees. And but we've got the society bylaws done now. And we've got the Constitution done, and so the mayors, we had a meeting about a month and a half ago or so, and we've reviewed it as a group, and then it was suggested I would come out and do a presentation to the councils of Moose and Chetwynd and Tumbler Ridge, so we all get the same kind of understanding of the Constitution and the society of what it is we're intending to do. So I just kind of want to walk through that very quickly, the Constitution. So it is the South Peace Health Services Society. It will be a society made up of residents and representation from the communities. It won't be representation of elected officials, because I think the strength is coming when it's coming from your community, and for us at the arm's length then can be involved in the support, the help fund the different initiatives that may go on, but let it be driven by the residents in our community. So it is the South Peace Health Services Society, and the purposes of the society will be to establish, maintain, and operate homes and accommodation for healthcare professionals in the South Peace area. That's one of the objectives in the Constitution for the society. And I guarantee that Chetwynd deal with it when you recruit, or Tumbler Ridge deal with it as we do. When you recruit a new physician into your community, they're going to spend a month or 2 months or 3 months getting their family orientated, need a place to stay while they're looking for a home to purchase. So that short-term accommodation is an important issue from that perspective. When we have locums coming in, when your own physician is away on training or vacation, they go for 4 or 5 or 6 weeks, to having a short-term accommodation available for those short-term needs is one of the really important objectives from the society. To conduct and operate programs to enhance the support of recruitment of healthcare professionals in the South Peace. We don't want to get into taking on the responsibilities or accountabilities that exist within Northern Health. And I think as the Peace River Regional District, we've really done a very effective job in supporting the initiatives through Northern Health. We pay $100,000 through the RD to the Northern Health recruiter for that physician recruitment position. We've just are now in the final stages of locking down the protocols for a $100,000 scholarship program, so that we have these RNs, the physiotherapists, the residential care, the home support workers, all of those different components. We've got $100,000 through the RD that we're going to put into action and get that moving, so that we can help support the training and education for local residents and tie that to a return of service. So right now there's 5 kids from Dawson Creek that are in the RN program, either in Grand Prairie or Fort St. or in Edmonton. Just 5 that I know of. And each one of them have said, you know what, we'd love to come back home. You give us $7,500 for that tuition and books, we'll give you a year return of service. And so there's a way for us to build that support to Northern Health and helping flow some of that educational burden that the students face and getting them to come back home for to work and help fill some of those vacancies. The RN program is crazy how drastic we always are in shortage of nurses. And then the final one we've got is, we've done it now for the last, I think, 2 years. We give the North Peace Division of Family Practice through the regional district $100,000 for that resident program. So there's 2 or 3 things that we've done at the RD level to help build the health services in the region. But for us in the society is to conduct and operate programs to enhance the support of recruitment of healthcare professionals. Will be very specific to the South Peace and to our communities to help ensure that when Dr. Helm leaves, that we got a plan in place to help support that transition of supporting the initiatives that Northern Health take in replacing our physicians, our nursing, home care support, physiotherapy, all of those types of components. I'm going to give you an example. There's 5 kids also right now in the Southeast that are going to be MDs, they're going to be docs within the next year. One of them said to me, he said, Dale, our resident program, I'm in Victoria, there's 31 of us that are in that resident program. Half of them, 16 of them, want to work in a rural or small community. So if we could find a way to leverage that fund to be able to help support them with housing, relocation, some of their loan forgiveness stuff, in exchange for a return of service, to be able to say to a young doc, come into Tumblr for 2 years, 3 years, and we'll fund $50,000 towards your tuition or your student loans in exchange for that return of service. That's what I'm talking about in terms of operate programs to enhance the support. And I guarantee those kids want to come out and work in these communities. We just got to find a way to help support those recruitment initiatives that are on with Northern Health. To create and maintain a development fund to be distributed at the discretion of the board of directors to meet the society's objectives and needs. And this is where we need the society to be able to be the ones that prioritize the initiatives, the issues that they see as important, whether it be the resident program, whether it be housing, whatever it be, training. It'll be the society that will drive the prioritization of it, and we'll help support the society through fundraising initiatives and grant applications and things like that. In the bylaws, we've identified kind of the structure of the board, and we would have, I think, 12 directors. I think there's 4 or 6 from Dawson, 2 from Tumblr, 2 from Chetwynd, 1 from Poos, and then 1 or 2 from each of the electoral area directors. And that way you've got a broad representation from the communities across the region in order to help kind of identify and prioritize the work that the society is going to be done. So this isn't an initiative that's put on either by us as councillors or elected officials, but driven by our communities and by our residents within the community. To apply for administrative grants received through the Government of Canada, the Government of British Columbia, the Peace River Regional District, City of Dawson Creek, District of Chetwynd, Village of Poos, District of Tumblr, or any department or agency or any foregoing entities or other donor for the purposes of the society's needs or objectives. And I'll give you an example. We got that $10,000 last year from the Rural Dividend Fund as a grant, but I've already talked to them about it, and you can apply for significant funding through them. And I've talked to Sue Kenny, who sits on the board for our region on that well, she sits on the board provincially. She said, Dale, this is exactly kind of the initiative that the province is looking for to help build communities. And so I think there's an opportunity there for all of us to try to leverage any of those grants and things that are available out there to help build community and quality of life. Because quality of life, and that's the mantra for all of us. I listened before I come on with your GrizFest, and quality of life initiatives, those quality of life issues that we're all trying to deal with and try to put on to enhance the attractiveness of our community. Health and education are the foundation of that. If you don't have health and you don't have education, everything else is a tougher road to hoe in terms of making that quality of life argument to somebody as a physician or a professional coming into your community. And so I think this second bullet, or that bullet there, is just gives us the ability to look for ways to apply for grants and money for the society. Fifth one is to receive from and distribute information to healthcare professionals, including through universities, colleges, professional associations, or organizations regarding the needs and opportunities of the region. So if we have physiotherapists or occupational therapists or the oncology nurses or things like that where we want to go out and help support and be very specific and deliberate and focused about some of the initiatives that we see as important for our community, then we'll get the society to deal with that through to some of the professional associations or the colleges or universities. And then to play an active role in the recruitment and retention of healthcare professionals in the South Peace area. And again, I think, honestly, we were, a year and a half ago, we were 15 doctors in Dawson Creek. It was tough. And Fort St. John went through a similar thing a little bit before that. And boy, when your community is under-docked, under-physicianed, it's really difficult for everybody. And so we need to, I don't ever want to be in the position where we start to get into the roles, responsibilities, or accountabilities that Northern Health have, and the policies that are driven by the provincial government through the Ministry of Health for physician recruitment, for healthcare professional recruitment. But there's some things we can do to help complement that and make it very much more attractive for candidates to look at our communities and our region as a place to come and live and work. And the hospital, the acute care facility in Dawson, is one of them that we're really pounding on hard to try to get their attention. And so that's kind of the overview of the Constitution at a real broad level. We're doing this from the perspective of we're going to move ahead with this, and we really think the benefits exist from all of us working together from a regional perspective to do it. But it isn't a commitment or a financial commitment or an endorsement from any of the councils that we're looking to do this. But we want to work together, and the benefits of us working together, I think, all of us, Tumbler, Chetwynd, Pouce, Dawson, and the electoral area directors, by working together, applying for dough, applying for money, makes us that much stronger if we're doing it together, cohesively, with a plan that benefits the entire region, rather than having that parochial view of just your community alone in isolation, and how you then struggle then to sometimes get those inroads into how you attract professionals. And if we can complement each other in that work, I think it makes us better individually as well as a region. And so that was all. I just wanted to kind of make sure I got out, and I did 3 council meetings today, so that's got to be a
Highlight of your.
yeah, highlight of my day. My bride said, I married you for love, not for lunch. We'll find something to do. So I open to any questions anybody has or comments or.
Thanks, Dale. I gotta thank you, and I think all the council wants to thank you. You've taken this health issue thing by the horns, and you've been a guy pushing this thing for South Peace, and we wouldn't be where we're at right today if it hadn't been for all your hard work. Thank you very much for that. Councilor Kadauka.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you very much, Mr. Bumstead, for coming in and going through that. Couple light questions here. So you say the region, but why are we not including North Peace to have more anchorage? Is that because they have the new facility and they're able to attract on their own?
You know, it's so the North Peace Division of Family Practice really does deliver. The North Peace is a little bit different because you got Fort St. John and Taylor. It's like Dawson and Pouce a little bit, but Fort St. John and Taylor really are. Taylor relies on Fort St. John for that service. Tumbler doesn't rely on Dawson. You've got your docks, and you don't rely on Dawson for that day-to-day service like they do, or Hudson Hope. So it's a little bit different in terms of the 4 communities, or the 3 communities especially. And for me, honestly, it was about trying to build a structure for us you do have Dawson as your acute care, trauma center, so emergencies and all that stuff, they treat, they stabilize, and get them to Dawson. So to me, it was more about that from the perspective of trying to work. And we've been working together, the mayors and the electoral area directors, on a whole bunch of different kind of components. So it wasn't about exclusivity to the North Peace, it was just more about trying to stay focused on the Dawson and that service sector into it, was primarily why we did it.
Thank you for that. And yeah, and I think we do rely on you. I actually work for BCM, so I know how many transfers I do in a year to Dawson Creek, and if it's not Dawson, it's up to Fort St. John. The other thing I have is, like, you talk about resident doctors coming in and helping them with housing and everything else. Northern Health has the promotion they're signing on as a doctor with a contract, and nurses right now. So are you looking to go above and beyond that kind of contract? Like, I think some of it's $100,000 or $50,000. All depends how many years you're going to put in here. So are you guys looking at, like?
I think there's some other. I'll give you an example. So I met with a young resident, and he wants to be a specialist, and it's going to take him 4 years to be a specialist. and he said it's about 50 grand a year for me to be a specialist, and he said if this, through this fund, if there was a way for you guys to help me accomplish my specialty, I would give you a 10-year return of service. And so if we could find a way where we could all of a sudden start building that surgeons, orthopedic, which we have, supporting that, the cardiologists, like real specialist service. I think there's an opportunity there, and these young guys are, that's these young physicians say, we're busted broke when we're finished. Like, we're like nobody the same as everybody else. So if you could find a way to help us bridge that, we'd give you that return of service commitment. And then it's the housing stuff is, Northern Health don't get into that. And so there's some components there that I think have some value for us at the grassroots in the community to be involved in and not duplicate some of that stuff that Northern Health do right now.
Thank you very much. Again, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, you bet.
Start this year.
I was just wondering, do we have any idea of how many RNs and physicians right now we do retain? Like how many people, when they're going through with the program, do like remain in Dawson Creek?
Yeah, I don't think there's any data at all to give any kind of how you can measure the retention of that. But like I say, I was surprised that when you start to kind of peel that onion back a little bit, you realize I know of 5 girls, 3 of them are in Grand Prairie, 2 of them are in Edmonton. And the one girl said to me, Dale, if you guys give me $7,500 for my books and tuition, I'd sign a 1-year return of service in a heartbeat for that. And so if we could find a way that every year, so you put 30,000 of that scholarship money into from the RD, every year if you had 5 RNs in the queue, I think about it as almost like house insurance. You buy house insurance not hoping you're gonna have a fire, hoping that you don't have it, but if you do, you got coverage. And so that RN's paying 25 or 30 grand into that scholarship, so knowing every year you got 4 or 5 coming into the queue. Wouldn't it be great to say at the end of a year, we don't need any RNs, we're full? We've never been that way. And so the more we can do, I think we gotta start. I think we just gotta start.
And I know there are issues starting to occur over the weekend. I think I've had 3 complaints about people having to go to Dawson Creek for blood work. They can't have it done here. And I know that, like, I think it's important that the North Peace and like the South Peace work together, because right now, anyone on dialysis has to go to Fort St. John. So, anyone living in Tumble Ridge with, like, to me, it makes sense that Dawson is the central point for the travel times, but,
This oncology stuff last year was just a real kick to me in terms of
Yeah.
how you have, I had this young girl get a hold of me, her mom got a hold of me, she's early 30s, stage 4 breast cancer, 2 little kids. And she said, I gotta go up to Fort St. John. Mom said, we gotta take her up there. I think it was 2 days a week or 3 days a week. They're taking her because they gotta take the kids. It's a full day deal. Traveling, stress of the roads and stuff. And I'm saying, they should be concentrating and thinking about getting better in the treatment, not about the stress of travel. And it involves everybody for the day. And so we got to find ways to say, how can we find a way to deliver more of those services locally?
yes.
So if we can find a way through this to build some of those services, the blood work, maybe some lab stuff in somewhere in Chelmsford, why wouldn't we try to do that? Right? Like, the closer to home, the better. And so we can't do that, though, through the community charter. We can't take dough and plow it through it to help some of this stuff. The only way we can do it is to do it through a society and find a way to support them and raise some of that money, and then let them prioritize what they see as the urgent need and put that 5-year plan in place to say, here's what we need to do, and here's how we're gonna have to do it. And here's where it's healthcare professionals, here's housing, here's the different initiatives. And the hospital, to me, I really appreciate the support. Obviously, we've got at the regional district and from everybody about that renovation project. It kills me that we haven't got that approval yet, but we just won't stop until they
Councillor Stacey.
Thank you, Worship, and welcome, Worship. Nice to see you in,
thank you, Mike.
nice to see you in Tumble Ridge. A couple of questions with regards to, the Constitution. I haven't been able to go through it in any details. Maybe the information is there. But as I understand it, the society will consist of representatives from all of our surrounding communities,
Yes.
as I understand it. And the first point that you mentioned is to establish, maintain, and operate homes and accommodations for healthcare professionals in the South Peace area. That's the number one. And you've also on the bottom under F mentioned healthcare professional means being a health professional as defined in the Health Professions Act in the province of British Columbia. When I take a look at that, there's 26 regulated health professions, of which 24 are regulatory professions governed by 23 regulatory colleges under the Health Professions Act. Now, when you take a look at those individuals, certainly the major categories are there when you talk dental hygiene, chiropractic individual. There's also midwifery, nursing, both registered, practical occupational therapy, optometry, physical therapy, occupational therapy, traditional Chinese medicine, and acupuncture, and on it goes. And the reason that I'm asking about that is that all of those individuals would fall under and be qualified for whatever assistance that is offered here to establish, maintain, and operate homes and accommodation for healthcare professionals in the South Peace. So in terms of doing that, would you be is the idea you'd purchase homes? Would we in Tumbler Ridge purchase homes or so that they can be rented out? How does that flow?
Honestly, my view of that would be, my first thought was, for our community is to have them either acquire or build a couple of duplex units. And so that you've got maybe a 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom, so that you can accommodate a family, you can accommodate a couple of nurses, you could accommodate, and start it from that perspective, and the society will take on that role and responsibility of procuring, building, acquiring, managing, looking after all of that. The society will look after that, and it will be the prioritization process of the society and the funding. And they might say, you know what, it's more important for them in this 5-year cycle for us to focus on helping the recruitment and retention. So we're going to really focus the dough on the resident physicians or physiotherapy or specialty. But let the society define that, Mike, in terms of what they see the priorities are for the organization. But I honestly believe that housing is a biggie and it needs to be addressed, certainly for us. And I would be surprised if it wasn't in Chetwynd and Tumbler Ridge. And finding a way to accommodate short-term. And you know, I've been to the Treaty 8 First Nations communities and I've talked to them, and you know, they say when we have one of our members of our community, just like you guys, they go to Dawson for their hip replacement or their knee replacement, they're there with their family member for that 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. So the accommodation could be broader than just for that. But let the society define it. Let the society decide and prioritize what those will be. Let our role be get the structure in place and help them with the funding and help them raise the dough to be able to do that work that they need to. I just want to clarify the territorial director positions are on page 11. The board of directors shall consist of the following positions. 4 positions for residents in the city of Dawson Creek, 2 for the district of Chetwynd, 2 for the district of Tumbler Ridge, 1 for Bruce, 1 for Director E, and 1 for Director Peace River Area B. And so that's just so you've got an equal kind of got representation from the entire region in it, and it's less about that than it is for me about who's on it than making sure you got representation from all.
So the intent is to have the individuals come in that are coming into any one of our communities here in the area, move in to a home, whatever, of which they would set up shop. And then in terms of the length of stay, for example, in a house that's already purchased, those kinds of things, are there limitations to that? Is the intent there that the individuals that we're bringing in would live in those homes, let's say it's homes for discussion purposes, and that they would be able to stay there with their families, so on and so forth, for as long as they wanted? Would they have an opportunity to purchase that particular home? Or how does,
Honestly, for me, it's more about you would find a short-term accommodation while they're looking for permanent residency.
Okay.
And so they would have, the society would say, okay, we got a new doc coming in, he's gonna need the house, he's gonna need the duplex for 2 months. And they administer all that and they look after, but it would just be purely, in my view, short-term. Because you might have a locum come in that's coming in to fill in for your doc that's going away on vacation or training for 4 weeks, 5 weeks. They need a place to stay in. So it's not that 1-bedroom duplex or 2-bedroom duplex. That's the short-term accommodation, I think, that I see is how we try to fill that gap that exists today for them. And we've heard about it in our community in terms of these docs coming in, and they're struggling trying to find a place to live for that short term.
sure, and it is strictly a short-term thing, then
Yeah.
they're on their own
Yeah.
to be able to go and so forth.
And let the society manage the operating costs. They pay, people would pay a rent for it, right? Well, they're gonna say, you know what, you're gonna pay $600 or $800 a month while you're there. You're not gonna live there for free because we do have costs, but let the society manage that aspect of it.
So, okay, my last question, I don't want to hold up this. The amount of membership dues, you mentioned the board will by board resolution determine the dues payable by members from time to time. In the absence of such determination by the board, dues are deemed to be nil, which are nil at the moment.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah,
can
need
you
to have-
elaborate a little
so
more on
one
that?
of the things that the lawyer who's drafted the bylaws up said, you really need to define membership so that you can make sure that when you're having your meetings, that people are actually members and how do they become a member. And so that's all that stuff in there in the bylaws was intended to make sure that who wants to be a member of the society, you got a clear protocol in terms of how that works for them to be a member of the society.
So, and Dale, so what you're looking for from council, it won't be tonight, but is an agreement to participate in the society, is this?
So I've done the work on this stuff to come and say, I think we're stronger as a region, but I'm not looking to, honestly, I don't need, and I'm not hoping, we don't want you to say, oh, well, we either gotta vote for it or not.
Oh, no. No.
Council can say, you know what, there's some merit in this and we wanna see our community involved in it or not. And, but the society, I wanna get this moving and I see the benefit of it from our community's perspective, and I see the benefit. So tonight was about saying, here's what we're doing, here's what we wanna do, and we really would love to see Tumblr and Chetwynd, who's in the areas in, and give you guys a chance to look at it, read it, and say, yeah, there's some value there for us, or what's that guy want?
Fair enough. Thank you. It's been great. Good move.
Councilor Kirby?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thanks, Mayor Bumstead, for coming in and filling us in. I see a real strength in this society. Health care issues are always on our residents' minds here, and I think we have organizations that have proven successful in the past here in Tumblr, and I cannot see a problem of not filling 2 directors' seats from Tumblr Ridge on this society in the future.
And clarity, we're not looking to say, well, if you guys are in, we want
Yeah.
funding, a commitment to funding. That'll all be done by the
Yeah.
society and doing fundraising and grants and all that. So our council is not saying, well, this is something we're gonna start funding for operating costs or annual allocation. It's gonna be a structured society that operates on its own, but
Absolutely.
for the benefits of our community.
I can see residents being excited about this, for sure.
Councilor McKay?
Welcome to Tumble Ridge, Mayor Bumstead. I haven't seen you here for a while. But,
Thank you.
It's
It's good to drive out tonight.
beautiful
Come
night for a
the back
drive.
way.
Yeah.
Well, I say the back way, the Willow. Yeah, I haven't been on that road in a long time.
Don't take the hourglass home.
Do you, does anybody attend the grad classes and go right to the graduation and put your pitch in at that time, or?
See, and that's this whole piece about colleges and universities and professionals. Let's get ourselves in there
Yeah.
to those kids that are graduating and even, I think even ahead of time, right? A year, so it's amazing when you start to reach out what the opportunities are for people who are looking to have a change, looking to come to these smaller communities, and we think that they don't exist, and they absolutely do. And I was knocked out by these young guys that said there's 16 of us that are gonna be doctors, are gonna have our MDs, we're gonna have our medical degree at the end of April this year. And he said, half of them, 16, want to go work in a small rural community, a small practice. So I think that's, to me, it was an eye-opener, right? We need to find the ways to make those connections with those young physicians, those nurses, physio, all of those healthcare professionals, and pitch that why, and here's what we can offer to help make that transition into your career easier in Tumbler Ridge, Chetwynd, or Dawson.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that adequately staffed facilities at Dawson Creek is not only a benefit to Dawson Creek, we all draw from that too, and I definitely commend you on your effort.
But this is, but I just want to clarify, for me, this is when we can find a way to really be strong about recruiting healthcare professionals. I want to do it for Tumbler Ridge and Chetwynd, and not just Dawson Creek, right? Because the benefit is, if Tumbler has got a strong healthcare system, that takes the pressure off of the acute care facilities and the pressure off the physicians in Dawson Creek as well, right? It complements.
Just want to say though, a few years back, we did actually purchase a couple of apartments specifically for that reason. They're being used for different things from time to time as the need rises, but we do already have a couple of apartments.
Sell them, give us the money for the society.
We knew something was coming. We knew it.
He opened the door.
No, on purpose.
Yeah, I think I told you that we had some
Yeah.
comments that we had, that was went there for one time. I don't think they used a whole bunch for that. I know they've been used a couple times for nurses. Yeah, I talked to the doctors here at supper here the other night about this society, and they just think it's a great idea and it's something very new. And we've had these problems like the lab and the x-ray technicians, which reflects onto the doctors. They can't do their job without having that stuff there. And so it's all that stuff all of a sudden is, I've always said to you, when we're talking about this, well, our doctors, our health center is pretty good, like well, we've had our issues the last couple of weeks here, and then they come to you and say, well, what are you gonna do about it? It'd be nice to have a society that is doing this type of stuff, and you can say, hey, what can we do about this?
Yeah, I think honestly, it's easy to say, well, that's Northern Health's deal, or that's medical services, or the Minister of Health's deal. But to me, I think about it, right? Quality of life is what our mantra is about, building quality of life in our communities. And if you don't start with the foundation of a good healthcare system and a good education, it doesn't matter what else you do, you're gonna have struggle trying to get people to come and live in a community. And whether that's Tumbler Ridge, Dawson Creek, Fort St. John, or Salmon Arm, it's the same. And so I think we need to be taking the initiative to do where we can help support that and build a strong healthcare services in our community and our region.
Well,
It would have been easy to say, no, that's somebody else's gig. And
I want to thank you again for taking this on, because I know you've put a lot of time and effort into this. And I sure appreciate it.
thanks, thank you. Appreciate it. Good to see you guys all. See you at U17.
Yeah, we were talking about that tonight too, is you're gonna get them to play hockey and everything out here. What I told
Did we
you.
hear anything yet? Sorry, can I ask?
We haven't. Maybe tomorrow.
Well, the announcement's tomorrow. The U17 announcement is the launches. We're doing our news release tomorrow. We did it at Fort St. John about 2 weeks ago, but, so I haven't heard any more about it, so I'll have to ask.
I told them about the Tumbler Ridge name going up on the mile zero post and everything, you know, like.
Yeah, we've got that. We're just doing the analysis on that.
Mile minus 76, I figured it out.
Thank you very much. It was good to see you guys at Tumbler Ridge, and I appreciate the opportunity to come and see you.
Okay, thanks. I'll buy you supper next time you come up.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night, safe travels.
Okay, back to. Yeah, I think we finished up with Chris West there, eh? So, the signpost. What are we looking for there? Mr. Wall?
Councillor Coca brought up that council had passed a motion to do something with the signpost. I went in with corporate and took a look. We can't find any motion on what was supposed to be done with the signpost, so we're bringing it back to council for direction. I'd just say, one thing that council's passed through new branding exercise, so whatever you wanna do with the signpost, you might wanna just consider if it's gonna be on brand, where it's gonna go. We're gonna have a lot of new directional signage and informational signage being installed this summer, so just something to consider when you're deciding what you wanna do with it.
Thank you, Worship. I remember it was back with our previous CAO, we discussed that. We discussed about when it had to come down to the rot, looking at planting a tree there and moving the new signpost that Joan Zimmer has done all the artwork back for the sign markers, mountain markers and all that. We talked about when we're building the Vic Center, looking at for the same type of log to have that up there, so these sign markers could be up on there. I think it's something, I mean, these things have been sitting, leaving in their basement still. This is something from the previous council that started it, and then we realized the signpost had come down with this council.
Okay, I was thinking of a different signpost. Yeah, I know,
So that's
now I
what
know what
it-
you're talking about, yeah.
So we talked about that. I mean, I was positive, there was a motion on the floor about having Mr. Beal look into it and getting a price on a post or a log that mats somewhat like the Vic Center, and also looking at planting a tree that was native to the area that would grow, so that they're not constantly cutting the tree down to decorate. That's what was talked about with the Roman walkway. I don't know if we wanna push this to maybe have a report from staff on it, the cost for a log and all that. I mean, who knows what the cost is? I believe it was directed to the previous CEO. It had nothing to do with our new CEO, for sure, I know that.
Yeah, I forgot all about it. Councilor McKay.
Yeah, that was all discussed, I remember the discussions, but I don't think we ever come down and actually made the motion. I know that one of the things that I had wished to do was maybe approach the community forest and get a suitable tree and get the digger, a good sized tree to come in and remove the tree and put it right in that spot. And so that was kind of talked about, but it kind of lost a lot of traction. I think it just got put by the wayside. That's still doable. But I think, like Councilor Kukoka said, there was talk about taking that signpost and putting it over to the Vic Center. Nothing formalized, but I mean, probably time it should be.
I'm gonna make a motion, and then we can discuss it. We're gonna put a motion on the floor that we have staff order a log that is similar to the one that is used at the Vic Center, have it installed by the Vic Center with the signposts that were done by Joan Zimmer, installed, facing the best direction to match up with as possible. And that we direct staff to be in contact with the community forest in regards to if they are able to supply us with a tree for Roman walkway to decorate for every Christmas, so we stop cutting down trees.
Second. Okay, I just, we're putting a sign up in front of the Vic Center. So, where's this sign gonna go? I'd like to see a report from staff saying what are the possible areas this sign can go. You know, you can have too many signs. What's that? No, I'm just saying, this is discussion. So, yeah, I would like to see, because maybe there's a better spot for it somewhere in town. I agree that down there maybe not the best spot. I think you're right about maybe putting a nice tree in there. Yeah,
Okay, I'm just gonna amend the motion for our report to come back, so that, are we gonna be good?
Did somebody second your original motion?
Mr. McKay did.
Yeah, so you can amend it and you'll need a seconder, that's correct.
So I'm gonna amend the motion in regards to just the sign, so just the log, the staff can come back with a report before it is purchased or installed, on where the location possibly could be, and the amount.
Suitable location.
Yeah, suitable location.
You still seconding that? Okay. Councilor Casey?
We're in the discussion period now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just wondering whether or not this motion will also encompass going out for an RFP, so that other artists or whoever that we have within the community might want to bid on that, come up with an idea or whatever, or are we just going to go, I think it was mentioned Joan Zimmer. So that's my question.
These signs are already done.
Oh, are they?
They were up actually on that post, and then she redid them, and they're in the basement. So,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Councillor Kirby.
Thank you, Your Worship. At the time, I thought the signpost suited its location. I think that's kind of part of our past. I myself don't see that signpost at the new Vic. I would recommend that maybe it is put near the museum or somewhere as more of a heritage piece, or, you know, a historical piece that was once our downtown, but, you know, just part of the past. I wouldn't vote for it being put at the new Vic myself.
Yes.
The amendment to the motion was for staff to come back to the location, so maybe that'll be one of them.
I think there's other,
And I think.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is that I just don't agree with maybe even going that route. That's, you know, I guess that's more so what I said, you know, looking into it any further, I wouldn't be for it.
not sure I know what you're talking about.
I'm not interested in the sign at all, I guess,
Okay.
in that sense.
At a certain location or not at all?
This,
No.
at this, proposal, no, recommendation.
Anything else?
Could you repeat the motion, Your Worship, or the motion that's on the floor?
Yeah, Mr. Wall.
Right now, it is the amendment that's on the floor, which would amend the motion instead of staff doing the work to install a signpost, to produce a report on the cost of installation and possible locations. So right now, you're voting on the amendment to change it, instead of staff doing the work, to change it to a report on cost and location.
Okay. Are you good with that? All in favor? Opposed? Okay.
So Your Worship, now you need to vote on the motion, which would be to have staff prepare a report on location and cost of the signpost.
Is that what we just?
No, you approved the amendment to the original motion, now you have an amended motion to pass.
Just on that motion still includes in regards to the tree, or the admin being in discussion with the community forest, that's still part of that first motion. We passed the amended motion, but that, okay, thank you.
On the amended motion, all in favor? Opposed? Okay. Service levels discussions. I guess this is,
Town Hall,
what's that?
number 9.4, Your Worship, I think was next.
Oh, sorry. Town hall schedule and topics. Mr. Wall, can you, speak to that before we get going?
This is something the council asked to be put on. Town hall schedule and topics, the next one, 9.5, the report deals with it, so you might be able to actually deal with both of these in one fell swoop.
Okay, get to the right. Yeah, on the page, I'd like to see these in both of the same. Because I think the service levels should be part of our discussion at town hall,
Just,
Okay, go ahead.
So I totally agree with you in regards to having service levels part of our town hall discussion. When we schedule or pick a date, it'd be nice to have, what we have to do, what we do, and the extras that we do. If people can see that, including, you know, the sidewalk, this removal of snow off your sidewalk, the gravel brushing off the lawns that the public work guys go out and do. Like things like that, those are those, thank you very much for being a resident of Tunbridge, those would be nice to show that. So if people are saying, oh geez, you know, our taxes are too high, which ones would you like to cut? Can't cut these, those we have to do. These we should do. All these ones that you really love because you don't have to shovel your snow, is that the one you wanna cut? Like, I just think if we'd have some kind of format there.
I've never really heard a bunch of criticism on tax rates at Dumper Ridge. And, you know, I think that's maybe increasing. I looked down at the flatbed park down there and I see that bottom section and with the nice weather and I'm thinking, boy, it'd be nice if that was open for the residents of Tumble Ridge, whether you picnic there or whether you camp there. And, so now that's an increase in service levels. So those are the types of things I'd like to see us discuss.
So just on the Lions Campground, like maybe we should be asking or directing staff to get in contact with the Lions Club of Tumble Ridge that that run the campground for us and stating that, you know, council really looking at wanting that open, and these are the reasons. We get that you're the operator of it, and we understand that there, you know, there's chances of damage or whatever. Coming back from the line side might be said that, you know, our washrooms aren't open until we have running water. So that's maybe where the extra comes in, where the district would have to supply a couple porta potties down to have it when it's nice like this, instead of waiting till May long weekend to have the campground open for picnics and stuff. I totally agree.
Anything else on, well, we're talking about town hall schedule, we should be talking about it, town hall meetings, and, service levels covers a whole pile, you know, everything we do, service. Council Kirby.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to see, budget and, recycling on some of those, on the topics.
Do you need more information than that, or?
Yeah, Your Worship, it would be good if council could give us some direction on what we're doing here. Are we approaching this from the lens of what services does Tumbler Ridge not offer that you would like us to offer? Are we approaching this from we need to reduce our budgets? Are we approaching this from, you know, generally council thinks things are going okay and things are going to remain the same? For staff to create these questionnaires, we need to know what direction council's heading on these issues. Or are we looking at trying to hone in on what services the residents could do without? Are we trying to hone in on what services the residents would like us to increase, or, you know, where are we going with this?
With the core service review, it states in there that for the size of this town, we offer way more services than we should. But we also all like living in this town because of the services we offer. So, you know, I think what's got to be a question to the people that show up at our town meeting is what services would you like to see services increased or decreased, or and what would you like to see if you're going to want them decreased? You must have something in your mind what you want decreased. Like I heard questions on snow this year. It seemed like and I think it was just the way we got the snow. Sometimes there was a bit of buildup in certain areas, and I've noticed that even on my own snow clearing. But I don't think we've cut back. Or maybe we have. I've never noticed it. But I've heard that question. Councillor Casey.
Thank you, Worship. I'm just wondering, we're dealing with town hall schedule and topics and also service levels, which I think would be an excellent topic to put on that. I mean, to me, would it not be beneficial, for example, we're going to have a town hall meeting, that would be a subject that, among many, that residents would have an opportunity of addressing, providing the input. We had the full SCAP, I mean, whatever format that we follow, but they could express their views to all of us at that time, make a master list of those kinds of things to gather that input. Would that be, if we're going to set a date for town hall meeting, would that not be something and a good opportunity to gather that input from the residents at large?
Yeah.
And then discuss the subject of where we would go from there?
Have a list on the wall of all the services we supply and say which ones do you.
Which would you add on, which would you take off? I mean,
Yeah.
if we're looking for public input, is there a better way to do that when we want to have a town hall meeting anyway?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's going to be an open forum, I mean, we had, as I recall, previously we had various stations around the area. We were all there present at one of or roaming as well, and people would have an opportunity of putting their views down and so forth. It just strikes me that it might be beneficial in terms of being able to gather that input from our residents.
Yeah, Councillor Scott.
I think at the last town hall meeting, people were asking that we have the panel where they could ask questions, so we were gonna go away from that open
Yeah, but
format or whatever, but.
What I got from what you said there, Councillor Casey, was have it on the wall, a list of services that we do, list of services that maybe we could do.
Oh,
And then just, and all of us sitting up there and they can ask whoever.
and I did like the idea of prioritizing, like, you know, these are the must, like we can't cut fees, but, and this is what we do over and above. And then, when we're talking about budgets, I think, our main goal, or what I was hoping to see is getting businesses into town, attracting businesses and more residents. And I think one of the things we haven't ever addressed is that per capita. When the town was, had a lot of people, you know, any, like the dollar store or the grocery store, they're paying the same tax now as they were paying when there was 5,000 people, as opposed to now when there's under 2. So, like, for us to attract,
I'd argue that we've reduced business taxes every time.
I chime in there?
go ahead. Oh, I'm done.
Did you have something, Councillor Hop?
Yeah, maybe just something we could add if we're going to do that type of town hall meeting, like Councillor Scott's talking about as a panel up in front, if we're going to have documentation on the wall. Maybe what we could have is something that shows how much revenue we collected this year, and just the 6 broad categories or the 5 broad categories of how much we pull in from each one. Maybe so that the residents see that, you know, of the whatever it is, 12 or 14 million we pull in, we only pull in $1 million from residential taxes, the rest are from industrial. Just something put up to show this is where our money is, this is how much money we have, and this is how much we spend. We spend $10 million on providing the services in your town. That leaves us whatever amount of money to provide the additional stuff that we can, or to put money into infrastructure or repairs going forward. Just have some type of an idea of where the money is. When you start talking to people on that type of a level of, well, we're going to reduce the amount that we clear the gravel off your grass. Well, how much does that actually save? Does it save $20,000? Is it $100,000? You know, another thing is the shoveling of the sidewalks in front of people's houses. So that's something that we do as a district, but in the bylaws, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to shovel the driveway in front of, or the sidewalk in front of your own house. But you actually have to put numbers to stuff. You can't just go, should we get rid of this service? If people knew that it was $5,000, they might say, yeah, no, I'll keep that. But if this is $180,000, geez, that's a great cut for us. You know, keep Grizzfest and get rid of that. You know, that's what I'm talking. You have to put numbers to any of the services you're talking about. This is what we offer. This is how much it costs.
Yeah, and also I think you should have up there is that this money we lost of tax revenue this year should be put there too, so that this is the reason that we're really looking at this stuff right now. So we're losing what the million, 1.8 million, so you know that people gotta know that too.
Yep.
That's good.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, and when I'm talking about recycling, I think it's moving forward on whether we go to curbside collection, you know, if we're gonna do multi material pickup. Those are the kinds of things that looking forward and like looking to the future forward, seeing what the residents think about. Would they be willing to do another cost on that if we were gonna add that? Give us an idea. I mean, I was kind of surprised when Dawson Creek, they turned that down to curbside, and there's a lot of residents that are going, wow, like we are in the dark ages, we're not moving forward. I'd like to kind of get an input from our residents. Is that something they want? Maybe it's not. I myself would love to see it happen, but those are the kind of things that I look for from the residents when we're going to go to a vote on something. When it comes to our taxes and having it like a budget meeting, it's showing what kind of bang for the buck you're getting on your taxes. You know, you can't say that the residents come in and we're going to scratch a whole bunch of this and that off, but I think before our final vote on our budget, it would be nice just to, you know, at least let them have a little bit of input. Not saying that it's going to change anything, but just even for ourselves before that final budget decision is made. Maybe there's an idea out there that we go, wow, okay, thank you. At least we're getting that feedback where I feel like we haven't had much feedback lately, and I guess that's, you know, people can say after budget is done, well, you had your chance. We've had how many meetings? There was time for input, but, you know, I always think that, you know, if we at least put it out there that there's one open town hall meeting before the final vote, then that we've done our due diligence.
Okay. So When is the final thing on budget?
We just got the final roll in today, so we'll be looking to finalize tax rates probably our first meeting in May.
So we're really tight for, well, we got a month to have a town hall meeting. Sounds like this might be a little bit of work for staff though, and get prepared for that town hall meeting.
Yeah, so if I could just speak to that a little bit, I need some more clarification on what council's looking for. So one thing that's important to remember, council talks about this a lot, is if there's a set service that falls into what is required, what is nice, and what is something that we offer. Let me just tell council, the only thing that this council has to do is to provide internment services. Everything else we don't have to do. We can shut off the water, we can shut off the community center, we can shut off everything. So when council's saying to me, you know, give me a list of what we have to do, what we like to do, and what's really nice to do, those are political decisions that administration can't make for council. And that's why this discussion is here today, is so council can start to grapple with these types of issues. It's council that needs to tell me, these are the required services that I need to provide to the services, to the residents. This is what I think is nice to provide to the residents, and this is what I consider a premium service to provide to the residents. So just on that task alone, I'm having a hard time thinking how staff is going to do it. If you want us to do it, you're going to be getting staff's opinion on what are the required, what are the niceties, and what are the premiums. On the other side, when council's asking for specific costs on services, so let's take street sweeping for example. We can take a look at street sweeping, and here's a couple ways that we can calculate that cost. I can take a look at my equipment charges for having done that, and I can take a look at what the manpower cost is having done that. Let's say it comes out to $20,000 a year to do the lawn sweeping, or $50,000, whatever that happens to be. So if we go to this town hall meeting and we say, okay, it's $50,000 to do the street sweeping, the residents or council goes, okay, we don't want to do the street sweeping anymore, let's X that off. The assumption is, well, now the budget is going to be reduced by $50,000, but that's not exactly how those works. We still have that equipment that's depreciating, and the reality is that we're pulling manpower off of other things to do this. So just because it's been reduced on street sweeping doesn't mean I now don't have that manpower costs I have. I have a union that I have employed. Until we get to enough service level reductions that we're looking at employee layoffs and employee reductions, the budget doesn't actually decrease. So if council's looking for numbers of, we're not going to do this, it's going to save us $30,000, and we're not going to do this, it's going to save me $70,000, here's $100,000, now you don't need one person. Well, you might have done $30,000 on a public works side, and you might have done $40,000 in nec dev, and you might have done $20,000 on the community services, but at no point have we gotten to the reduction of one employee. So these are not issues that I can just bring you a cost and you're going to say, that's how much I'm going to reduce it if I take this service out. These are very complicated issues. So there are a couple of things I'm looking for direction from on council. One, to just let you know that this is a complexity of dealing with municipal budgeting. And the second, that I need more direction from council on what do you find is a premium service, what do you find is a required service, and what do you find is a needed service.
Is that not the same thing as you saying that we have employees sitting around looking to find them work, so we put them on these other projects so that they can be busy? You know, if that's the case, maybe we should have looked at cutting, some, or putting a hiring freeze on, because that's the way it sounds like to me. Well, if they're not out sweeping the streets, we're going to put them on cutting more grass, and if they're not out cutting more grass, we're going to put them out picking up more garbage. Like, to me, if that's the case, if we are providing an overabundance of services, it's because we have an overabundance of hours that we can use up. And if that's the case, we need to look at some cutbacks here. That's what we've been trying to, get around, of finding some way to save some money in the budget instead of it continuously increasing year after year after year. And that's what happens, is we continually hire people on and we look for work for them. We provide work in the community center or this or that and find areas. So, these are hard decisions that we've got to start looking at. And in my mind, that's one of the things that we need to look at, is perhaps a hiring freeze. What are we going to lose if we have a hiring freeze? Absolutely nothing, because all of the stuff is there right now, the way I look at it. So
I think
that's all I got. Sorry.
I think we've got to have this town hall meeting, then we'll get an idea of the way the residents are looking, what they're looking at, whether they're happy with what they've got or if they want less or more. Right now, we don't really know that. And even at a town hall meeting with the amount of people we get out of them, won't really tell us exactly that, but it might give us an idea. Councilor Casey, you in your hand?
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Well, isn't that the first step?
think
I mean,
so.
I have the town hall meeting, invite residents to there. We can prepare ahead of time all the services that we in fact perform or undertake. We can put the price that it basically costs, if we could figure that out, as Councillor Howe has suggested. And there it is. People come in, they can provide input, I don't want this, or whatever. And what about add to it, what about this and this and this and this, before we put any dollar values on that or whatever, and get that input until we're satisfied. We've got at least all of the actions and the services down that have been offered by council, by our residents, and whoever else wants to contribute. I mean, isn't that the first step?
I think so.
And then the rest of it, until that's done, I mean, there may be a good number of people in Tumbler Ridge, or even on council, that said, the service, everything is fine. Why are we dealing with this anyway? We're fine. So why are we wasting our time doing it? I'm not suggesting it is a waste of time, but I mean, if it's gonna be our decision, and we can each go our own way and talk to the residents, in whatever fashion we'd like to, that's one option. But to see the other, bring everybody together who's interested. I'll be surprised if we have very many people there, because that's never happened. Let's give it a try, get the input, and if there isn't any, we can come back and deal with that. I don't think it's rocket science.
Anything else? So I don't think we're looking for, like you said, to prioritize services. I think just a list of services. And then we can talk to whoever shows up about whatever services are out there. It's just for us to get an idea of the whim of our residents. That's all it's for. And then we sit back here and decide if something really come out of that. Sound good? But it'd be nice, I'd say, I would like to see it before the final vote on the budget. Just, it makes a lot more sense.
I can deliver that to you if you choose either the core service review or strategic plan update. I can't do strategic plan update, core service review implementation, plus this open house all before May.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think the open house would be nice to have before the final vote. Council agree with that? So, you know, that's the core service stuff, it all relates back to this, so it'll give us more to talk about there too. Okay. Councilor Kirk?
Like, I mean, we're talking about May, first meeting in May or something like that for a meeting in regards to the budget. So, and then there's the Minerals North meeting at the end of April, so what about April 19th, right after the April 18th meeting for town house? For town hall? Does that timeline meet what you could do, Mr. Wall? Is it not, because you get the minerals meeting?
So, what date did you say again?
I was saying April 19th, one day after a council meeting.
Yeah, I'm open there.
Just not sure if that timeline works. Mr. Wall.
So, I just want to be clear on council's expectations for administration on this. So what administration is going to provide at this meeting would be, one, an overview of revenue, two, an overview of expenditures for the district. So, you know, an idea of how much money we're taking in, how much money we're spending, and then, you know, a list of services provided to the district of Tumbler Ridge. And we would try and, I guess, contextualize the services provided in Tumbler Ridge versus the ratepayers, the same way that it was done in core service review presentation. Is that what you guys are looking for?
Yeah, and I'd like to see council, if they got anything, service that you might want to add it, I guess, talk about that campground thing. Just see Mr. Wall, so we can have that down as something we could add to.
So we should be looking at what could be reduced and also what could be increased.
Is this where we put the golf course on there as well as the Montgomery to see whether or not?
That's it's a service.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Councilman Carr?
Yeah, that's where a little bit of hesitancy in just where we're going with this, because if direction comes through and it's clearly apparent, and that was one of the examples, I mean, the golf course, we have quite a lot of people in town that never use it, to say, okay, that's a total waste of money. Get that off the docket, then are we going to do it?
Like I say, this is just right for us. I mean, we know that. We know that there's only certain people show up to a town hall meeting. And you can, it's a guide. It's not saying, well, you have to do whatever comes.
Right, and that's kind of where I'm also have a bit of difficulty with, because if we have 800 people show up, well, then you're gonna get a clear direction.
Yeah.
So you take a percentage. But if there's only 25 show up, but you still get a real clear indication, but you've only got 25 people, I mean, where are we, what is our mandate after that? If we're gonna follow the whims of
If it was something
25?
big, like shutting down a golf course,
Yeah.
I would say that'd be a referendum at the next election.
That's, so it's not anything we're gonna jump on for this particular budget, it could be for future.
I wouldn't be in favor of it.
I'm with you on that.
Okay.
So then what's the big rush? Why are we saddling staff with it right now?
Just because it just makes a lot more sense to have a town hall meeting before our final budget vote than after.
and weren't we having 4 a year? Was it
Yeah.
each quarter? So we're already past
no,
quarter
2 year.
1, 2?
Minimum 2.
Okay.
Okay, so that pretty well does 9.4 and 9.5. So action items. What's this, Mr. Wolf?
Just one, is it one started?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
That was mentioned. Right.
Just on the format of the open house this time, how is council want to organize it? Are we, the panel style, the open house style?
Now, I think that's. Okay, action items. What's that all about?
I was not here at the meeting when this was added, your worship.
Anybody have a clue? Okay.
I didn't raise it, but I think it was, we have a lot of action items, and there's a matter of prioritizing what it is we're going to do first. And is that in the budget? Paving first? Yeah, I mean, I'm wrong, because that was chucked around quite a bit.
Yeah. When it comes to paving, I don't think that's a decision of ours, but go ahead.
I would just say that the items that staff will always take as the priority to complete are the items that are contained within your strategic plan. The items that come out and get on the action items are the items that we take as, we'll complete them when we're able to complete them, but administration's commitment to council is and will be to complete the items on the strategic plan as quickly as possible.
Anybody got anything more to say on action items? That's great.
I was just wondering if that was about the lots for sale from Councillor Howe. Councillor Howe, are you still there? Okay.
Yeah.
Was that prioritized, action prioritization, was that something to do with the lands, the lots? I'm just wondering if that was where that came from? In our action summary.
Got lost?
In the action summary sheet that says those lots wouldn't be actually ready till September 2017?
So yeah, I lost part of that conversation there in the beginning, but the stuff that I was talking about there is that we wouldn't have a report back on what we could do with some of that lots until September 2017. And I thought that that was a ridiculous timeline. I thought it should be expedited and brought forward and made quicker. That's where this discussion started on, well, how much time do they have to do this and how much time do they have to do that? And that's where this thing kind of sat. And I thought that was on the strategic plan that we were trying to make that stuff available. So to go back and say, well, it's the strategic plan and that's what we're going to follow and this and that, to me is like, geez, guys, isn't this, one of those things that we thought priority? I mean, the whole idea, the whole intention of this is when the mines returned, that we would have land available and lots available for people that wanted to buy and move here. We're constantly missing out on that. And I mean, the way I understand it, they've only got about another 100 some odd people to hire at that mine. So, it's like we've missed the boat on it again already. So that's where that initial came from.
Okay.
Have we even found any lots that fall into line with anything that we'd want to purchase?
The district has a number of industrial, heavy industrial, light industrial, business, and residential lots that are available for sale right now. In 2016, administration put a report in front of council on the purchase of rural residential lots. At that time, council instructed us not to move forward with purchasing rural residential lots and instead to assist residents in buying them from the provincial government. So we did not take action on buying any rural properties. This report was requested from administration not too long ago to investigate buying rural residential lots. So council's initial instruction to administration was not to pursue the purchase, and subsequently council changed its direction and asked us to produce a report on buying these lots.
So you're working on that right now, are you? I know we talked about the lots up towards Sanctuary Valley there, which is great, except for the fact that you have to fix that road going up there, and that's millions and millions of dollars to do that.
Yeah,
And that's why they've never been looked at before.
Yeah, these reports, so if council's asking us to produce reports on the buying of rural residential lots, it's not an easy process. One, you've got to go through the provincial government, you've got to buy it from there. The provincial government will place requirements on the buyer. So one of the requirements it has to be is road access. So one of the issues that we're concerned about there is the road access. We need to make sure that we're giving council the information. You may go and buy that lot based on, okay, well, provincial government says you can have it for $50,000 or $100,000 and you make the purchase, and now you've got lots the provincial government is now going to tell you you need to put $2 million into the road. That's why we need the time to do these things. These are not easy reports that can come out quickly. And the ECDEP department, again, has a number of strategic priorities that we're trying to accomplish this summer, which is partly the creation of the land database, the creation of the rural residential lot strategy, and the other items that are contained here, putting the directional signage up, introducing the tourism brand. So we can do anything that council wants. Again, council instructed us not to move forward with the purchase of rural residential lots, so we did not move forward with the purchase of rural residential lots.
I thought that what we were asking.
I think that was an either or, though. That's, like what we didn't say, yeah, don't go ahead with the rural residential lots. I mean, that's not the way I understood it. That's not the way we had a choice of which way we wanted to go. And it was certainly, this council, I'm sure it was, we talked about acreages that were 5 acres or greater because there was water issues that would be solved if we went after 5 acre lots or this or that. But perhaps the best way to deal with this, and this is a topic for discussion, is maybe we need to bring in somebody who deals with this stuff. Like, I thought that's the guy that we had in our ex-dev guy. When we hired that guy on, I was led to believe that this guy has done this type of stuff. This is his background. He knows what he's doing there. And it's...
Councillor Hoff.
What's that?
You're not going to talk like that in my meeting. Okay?
All right, man. Whatever.
Anybody else? Hey, Councillor Cook.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this discussion in regards to rural resident lots was done down in the Big Center. There was actually a vote made, and we picked a couple of places, and the next place we picked was Sanctuary Valley. And to me, that meeting, it sounded like it was gonna be a very simple thing to do. No, let me rephrase that. Not simple, but it seemed like the timeline wouldn't be this long. So how do we speed up that timeline? Would I ask, wonder if, like, on council side, do we hire, do we ask Mr. Wolf if he needs more employees?
I'm just gonna give my opinion what we said over there. And that was to have staff look at how we'd be able to buy those lots, so that if somebody come into the front counter here, like we talked about before, you'd say, this is how you do it. Bang, 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 bang. You know? And I know it's not very easy. The provincial government, they would draw all those, give you all those hoops to jump. But that was what I thought from out of that meeting, but maybe I'm wrong. Mr. Wall.
And so this goes back to that discussion, the council doesn't have clear direction even now on what administration is supposed to be doing. So I've got half of council telling me I'm supposed to be preparing these reports for purchase of the lots. I've got some people on council under the impression that this is to prepare information to help people buy the lots. So even amongst council, there's no clear understanding of what's supposed to happen on this topic. Now, having said that, we can accomplish this faster if it's something that council wants us to accomplish faster. One thing to keep in mind is we work on this yearly budgeting schedule. So if council's going to buy these pieces of land, it's not something that's been budgeted for this budget. So in staff taking a look at the total things that we have to do this year, we have timelines that we try and hit. I'm not saying it takes 8 months or 6 months to produce this report. What I'm saying is we can get this report to council in September, which will give you the information you need to make a decision for the next budgeting process. The budgeting process for this year is passed. That's something council really needs to consider when you're setting, or when administration is setting these timelines. We have things that need to be done in certain orders, and on this report, we plan to get it back to council so you can make decisions on it for your next budgeting process. Could council ask for this to come immediately? Yes. Could we do it immediately? We could start working on it tomorrow when we put everything off, and council can give us the money to hire somebody else to come in and do it for us. But with that information, is council now going to be making choices to pass and buy with unbudgeted funds the lands right now and not in the budget process for next year?
So, I think it's a, go ahead, Councilor.
Thank you, Worship. Dealing with this particular question, is that something that we could add on to our open meeting that we talked about to see if who amongst our residents or whoever else is attending would be very interested and so forth in purchasing 5 acres, 10 acres, rural residential lots and so forth, and get a feel for it. I don't mean this quite literally. I don't think there is a feel for it. And I don't know why there'd be a feel for it now, and there wasn't 20 years ago when we had a lot of that work done. Now, I don't mind going ahead on, but why would we put 1 penny into trying to come up with the area, subdivide, do whatever for 5, 10, 100 acres, you name it, without first getting some kind of a feel as to what is the appetite from our residents to purchase that. Now, we can say there may be others that might be out of town and the rest of it, but doesn't it make some kind of logical sense that we'd want to get that, some kind of a fix on that as best as we could prior to spending any money to do it? I mean, isn't that the process?
He's definitely talking, that could come up at the town hall meeting, that's for sure. Councilor.
Thank you, Mayor McPherson. I would just guess that if that was Councillor Howe's platform, that he already has people who are interested, and he was approached by residents because that's what they wanted.
Well, then put it out. I haven't heard that from anybody.
I think that's why he brings it up. That would be my guess.
Well, instead of guessing, what has he got, 15, 20 people that buy automatically?
I don't know.
I think we should bring it to our next PPC, and so we can give staff clear direction of where we want to go, because obviously
I agree.
we don't know ourselves. Okay, Councilor Strauss.
I know of people that have left this community because there aren't rural areas to build homes and shops. And we've lost out on quite a few people relocating just due to that fact. And people that are considering that at this point too. And I thought at that meeting, when we were deciding on this, that we were going to have a checklist and the purchase of the 5 lots, like the cost it would be to the people purchasing, with a checklist of what they needed to do and who they needed to,
That's exactly right.
yeah. So I think it'd be a great discussion for a town hall meeting.
And I'd like to see it come up in PPC again, so we can. Okay,
Excellent.
my apologies to staff. Okay, no notice of motions.
Your worship, council needs to deal with the Bruce Fest in the regular meeting.
Okay,
Do I need to go again?
Your worship, Joanne, Councillor Kirby, can I just ask a question with regards to that? If we're going to be talking about,
She's part of that though.
I
Carol, what we
can't-
voted on earlier, she should know, right?
what is it, I'm sorry?
What we voted on earlier has come up now. She probably shouldn't have that information.
No, okay, the only thing that I was going to bring up, and I'm not sure if it's a conflict of interest or not, I well understand having to leave when the discussions take place, so on and so forth, about the GrizFest subject, relative to whether or not we're going to carry on with funding and support it and the rest of it and so forth. But is it out of line to have Councillor Kirby give us an update as a member of the board of GrizFest, the overview with regards to plans, updated current information, the whole works and so on and so forth, because every time that she is giving that report in open council, not a conflict, that's valuable information, I would think, that we would like to have, and then she leaves before any discussion takes place. It's just like giving a report. Is that out of line? Does that make her in a conflict of interest? I really have doubts about that part. Any discussion that takes place after the report and so forth, she won't hear, she leaves, and that's the way it should be.
I think that it hurts council when we had the 2 of them leaving before we made decisions on it. I think you're right, if they could do a presentation and then leave, so that we're not voting on it.
You know,
They're not voting on it,
you know,
so.
and it gives us an update.
Mr. Wall, is that a possibility that we can do in a council meeting, or?
If a councillor who's in that conflict of interest situation is seen as trying to influence a decision of council, it's a conflict of interest.
So, that would be, yeah.
See ya.
Certified.
I was just gonna say, that's where we have the liaisons, a councillor liaison that's not a director could sit on the board and come back and report.
So just to be clear on that, so, and I won't bring up the subject again. Using this as an example, for any one of us that are on a committee or whatever, reporting back to council, I can't come back here, give a report on my committee that I'm a member of, or chairing, or whatever, give it to council, and decisions have to be made on that. So after I've given my report, I remove myself so that there's no conflict there, and council can make their decision. That's wrong?
Mr. Wall says that you're influencing the board or the council. Mr. Wall, is that right?
Yeah, so how this would work, when you're talking about committees, if you're on a committee because council's asked you to be there, no, that's something different. If you're talking about you're a board member, you can come and give updates, there's no issue with that. If you come in front of council, let's say GrizFest just happened, Councillor Kirby wanted to say, hey, look at this event, this is what happened, blah, 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 that's great. But if what you're looking at is a decision to spend district funds or district resources, and the update is interpreted in a way to say you're trying to encourage council to walk down this path, then that councillor would be in trouble, yes.
All right, so that wasn't my intent. I don't know, and I'm going to speak for myself here, for my vote. I don't know what the update is on GrisFest at the moment. Subject has now come up. I can't get a report here from our representative on that, somebody who's got all of the facts, the rest of it, say thank you very much, and if we're going to talk about it, she leaves. That's wrong?
I would say you're walking a fine line, and it would be up to whichever counselor's in question, what do they feel comfortable doing? If they felt comfortable doing it, then there's no issue, unless somebody, another residents or council as a whole took issue with it.
So if any committee that I will be on, or whatever, appointed by council, if it happens to be, have those discussions and so forth, then I can't even come back here and give that report where decisions have to be made and leave. That still wouldn't meet the requirements. That's what I'm hearing. Is
If
that right?
council appoints you onto a board, if the council appoints you to a board, you can come back and give us, if you're put on a board as a liaison, you can come back with a report, but if you're sitting and a voting member of that board, you're in conflict.
I can understand that part of it, but my concern is, and maybe this is something that can be checked out by any one of us who's interested in checking it out ahead of time. If we're going to deal with the GrisFest session or segment of it, it would have been, and I'm only speaking for myself now, I don't know what the latest action is, don't know what the latest report is, don't know what's been happening, so on and so forth. Only one person that we have got assigned to it that can talk about it, and they have to leave the room for a conflict. It's just that part of it is a little unclear. That's all, Your Worship. So that's fine.
Okay, yes, Devin.
Thank you. Just on that, maybe we should have the Grizz Special that came in as a delegation too. If they knew they were on the agenda tonight, they might have had an opportunity to come in. They probably knew, but maybe they didn't think they had to be here.
Okay. Yes.
Well, just one comment to that. We've canceled the last 2 meetings. There was the full board on the first cancellation. Last week, they were ready again, and this week they couldn't attend.
Okay, we've got a recommendation on the bill?
There's no recommendation, but on the floor yet, but the recommendation forwarded from the PPC would be that the district returns to the operational method of 2016 for GrisFest. But I want to say something that council needs to understand in making this motion. I said before that council still needs to make a determination on the $15,000 and whether or not you want to put that back in. That $15,000 cut was only possible because of the way of it being a total cash. So the in-kind at 55, council is able to reduce the 15 from that. Council is contractually obligated to provide the $45,000 on the fee-for-service, which you signed a 3-year agreement. If what council is saying is you're going to go back to the fee-for-service the way it was last year, you're going to lose that $15,000 reduction because we're going to be doing all the in-kind services. The money dollar amount has already been set. So if you pass this motion, you will be reinstating that $15,000, which will get added into. It won't get added into the budget because it's in kind, but it's going to have to get back in there on the in kind side. So I just want to make council aware that if you pass this motion, it will be to reinstate the in kind funding to the same level as last year, and the $45,000 as mandated by the fee-for-service will be approved.
This is the last of the 3-year agreement,
That's correct.
so that's just all good. Okay. Any more discussion on it? Okay, all in favor?
We still need the motion to be made, Your Worship.
We'll make that motion.
Okay.
The
Okay.
same motion coming forward from the PNP. Same motion.
Okay, seconder, Councilor Kai. Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Opposed?
Okay, yeah, Councilor Howell's opposed.
Thanks, my friend.
Sudoku boy.
Okay, I guess, we're into council's business.
Not much to report on in my person, but just, we did have a meeting with Community Forest again, and it's regarding the convention. And we had a fantastic display of gifts and things that we're looking at, some of the various dignitaries that will be attending, and everything is made locally. There's a lot of nice rocks, that type thing, made out of pearls, and it was all from the local artists, pictures, paintings, everything else. And we have a fantastic array of stuff that's, and a lot of them depict Tumbleweed Ridge pretty good, so looking forward to that.
That's Scott.
Attended a Building Healthy Communities Committee meeting. I've been chair of that committee for the last 2 years, and the Northern Health representative is supposed to be on the board, and she has, I think, made one phone in. We have them quarterly, and she's done one phone call in and not attended. So I was just wondering if we could get a letter perhaps from Mayor and Council asking for another representative, because if we don't have Northern Health on board with the committee, any of the things that we're, funding and stuff like that we're going for is, if we don't have that Northern Health support, it's kind of redundant, and we're having meetings for nothing.
Yeah.
So,
So you need another person?
yeah,
From council?
or no,
No.
just a motion. I guess that what I want to do is put a motion forward to have just a letter of support from Mayor and Council to Northern Health, seeing if there is anyone they can appoint to attend the meetings. And if they can't make the trip during winter months or whatever, a phone call in on a conference call is great. But like I said, for 2 years we've had one call in. And
So you wanna make that motion?
yeah. So just to,
The second.
Yeah.
Any other discussion on? Okay.
and so that's about it. I think we've covered everything else.
Thank you, Worship, and I'm gonna apologize to you before I make this motion. I wanna make a motion that we make a press release in regards to Graham Johnson, John Sinnott, and Summerbrook.
The legal issues, that's it.
The legal issues, it still has not been addressed, so I wanna make a motion that we do a press release.
Is there a second for that? That's fine. Is there any issues with that, Mr. Wall?
They've all been resolved. If council wants to put out a press release from the mayor's office, you're more than able to, yes.
Sounds crazy.
Thank you, Worship. Just a question, why would we want to do that?
I think we need to do it, let the public know. I think, we say we're gonna be transparent, this is the way of doing it. This is a way of, yeah, but he doesn't know, it wasn't written in the paper, it was missed. I mean, let's do a press release, the public knows we dealt with it. That's my goal, as a counselor, I want it out there, people know what happened with Summerbrook, what happened with Graham Johnson, what's happening with Johnson. I think that's right.
So I'm not saying it's wrong.
No, but I'm just saying that's why I want it.
Okay.
I mean, obviously it's not being all kept here, because, so I think if a press release, people see it, instead of people still asking if we're still in a lawsuit with Summerbrook and all this, I think it comes out and people know that it's been dealt with.
Thank you, Worship. I guess the only question that I would raise, I certainly don't mind it going out, but the only, was an in-camera session and so forth, so I'm not sure what information, if any, should be coming out of that. You've already indicated the fact that the situation has been dealt with, the rest of it and so forth. The press is here, they can pick up, whatever, so that's my only concern. I'm just trying to find that out. What purpose is it going to serve us as representatives of our community? You want to name the cost or settlement, if there was one, if there wasn't one, the rest of it and so forth, how much detail do you want to get in? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm asking.
Okay. Any other discussion on it?
I think we do whatever that we're legally allowed to put in there. I know there's a Rise report, and it had lots of information in the Rise report from our side.
Okay,
I think the reporter here is here right now, and if he wishes to do that, that's how most of this information has gotten out anyway. And why not? And I just don't want the District of Tumble Ridge or this council to have a mean-spirited approach to something, which we got our pound of flesh. But I'm good with that.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor? Opposed?
Your worship, can we vote again?
All in favor? Opposed? Good.
Was that three?
I think it's,
I'm in favor.
Councillor Scott, you voted in favor
what is the motion?
Press release.
to do the press release. I believe it's passed. The motion is passed.
Okay.
That's all I can.
Okay. Councilor Kirby.
Well,
How is Mexico?
Well, I don't have a whole lot to report. I was, just a question to you, Mayor McPherson, if Dr. Helmut talked to you about reinstating the Museum Development Committee. I'm not sure what I missed in the last couple of weeks. But maybe we can touch base on that. I know it was something that I just wanna see if he had talked to you about that, and we can bring it up at another date. Also, there's some concerns from residents about come this summer, what the parking's gonna be like within the Shop Easy parking lot and the ResCan if we have tourists coming into town. Because Canuma's parking their vehicles in those sites, in those parking lots. And I don't know if there's been do we have some kind of agreement made with them on parking in the ResCan and over in Shop Easy, or maybe just looking forward at what could happen there?
Can I just chime in for 2 seconds? Can you say downtown parking lot?
Oh, yeah, well, it's just, yeah, downtown
sorry,
parking
I
lot,
just-
yeah, exactly. The downtown parking lot.
So the way that our bylaws read, right now, if you have insurance and you're not, like, if you're not parking there for a long time, there's no ability for us to enforce anything. I can say that Canuma did get in touch with us before it started happening in the downtown parking lot. What I informed them was, there's no bylaws against it. However, I didn't think that this was going to be a long-term solution. It's only grown in number. I've had a complaint come in from a local business. I informed that business that their best course of action was probably to speak with their council members. I got in touch with Canuma again and said, we've gotten complaints about this. I still don't think this is a long-term solution. I would say that we probably don't need to look at changing any bylaws. Canuma so far has been a pretty good corporate partner. If councils gets to the point, whether now or later, where you don't want the practice to continue, I would suggest you just pass a motion asking Mayor McPherson to speak with Canuma on the issue and ask them to find something different.
There's another head of business from Dawson Creek, wanna put trailers up here just for a weekend for sale. Camping trailers. Where are you gonna put it? First, when they first phoned me, I said, that shouldn't be a problem, but there's no room anymore. It is affecting us, and I don't have a problem talking to. That's what council wants. But I guess I should have some options too.
When I spoke to them, they were looking for their options on parking. If you want to put that number of vehicles somewhere that's secure, there are no other options in the district of Tumble Ridge. There's the option of going back to the crew buses, driving around and picking people up. They didn't seem too enthused with that idea. However, this town was not built, the downtown parking lot was not built to support that type of parking. And as more people are hired and as the mines come on, I mean, we know that it can't do that for a third mine. So, and I have questions on whether or not, once the Wolverine is running at full capacity, whether or not has capacity to even that, so.
Okay, I don't have a problem. If you wanna talk to him about it. Council wants me to do that. Okay. Ready? Council
I have nothing to report at this time, your worship, thank you.
Council Howell?
Nothing to report. I would just recommend, if we are going to end up talking to Canoom about it, that we offer them some solutions. This is our town, and we know where the areas might work for them. Some possible areas, I know they want to park downtown so that people can walk down there. That's the idea of picking people up from the downtown core, and to cut down on the time it takes for people to travel all the way to the Brule mine, which is an hour and a half on the bus. Perhaps